Welcome, traveller. Come in from the cold noise of the waking world. Find a place where the shadows are soft and the light is dim and golden, like the embers of a fire that has burned faithfully all evening. There is nothing you need to do now. The list of tasks, the ticking clocks, the demands of the day, they have all dissolved into the mist behind you. You have arrived at the sanctuary of the mind, a place suspended between the earth and the stars, where curiosity is a gentle current that carries you towards sleep. Here, we do not seek answers to sharpen the mind. We seek mysteries to soothe the soul. We look into the unknown not with anxiety, but with the wondrous, heavy-lidded gaze of a child watching dust motes dance in a sunbeam. Take a deep breath now, drawing in the stillness of the cosmos. Hold it for a moment, feeling the quiet expansion in your chest, and then let it go in a long, slow sigh. Feel the weight of your body sinking into the surface beneath you. Imagine that surface is not a bed or a chair, but a cloud of velvet floating in a safe, dark expanse. You're safe here. You're held. As we begin our journey tonight, we will drift through the gallery of the unexplained. We will look at the things science has yet to solve, but we will not solve them. We will simply admire their beauty, their complexity, and the comfort they offer. The comfort of knowing that the universe is still full of magic, still full of secrets, waiting for us to dream about them. Let your eyes close, let your jaw loosen, let your shoulders drop. The river of stars is waiting. As we cast off from the shore of certainty, we find ourselves floating first into the grand, invisible embrace of the cosmos. Picture the universe not as a scattering of isolated stars, but as a vast, interconnected web. Science tells us there is something out there, something immense and heavy, yet completely invisible. They call it dark matter. Imagine for a moment that you can see the invisible. You're floating in deep space, and all around the galaxies there is a subtle, shimmering structure, like a translucent spiderweb made of gravity and silence. It is not scary. It is the cradle that holds the stars in place. Without it, the spinning galaxies would fly apart, scattering their stars like loose sand into the void. But they do not scatter. They are held. Think of this dark matter as the cosmic mother, the unseen hand that cups the galaxy gently, keeping everything safe and together. We cannot see it, we cannot touch it, and despite our best instruments, we cannot explain what it is made of. It reflects no light, it casts no shadow. It simply is. It is the ghost in the room that makes the floorboards creak with presence, the silent weight on the end of the bed. Allow this mystery to comfort you. It implies that there is a structure to reality that doesn't need to be seen to be felt. It suggests that even when you feel alone, or when things feel chaotic, there is an invisible framework holding you, holding the earth, holding the sun. A silent, benevolent glue that binds the universe into a cohesive masterpiece. Feel that stability now, wrapping around you like a heavy, weighted blanket, pressing you down into a deeper relaxation. Drifting outward from that invisible embrace, we encounter a force that is quite the opposite, yet equally mysterious. While the dark matter pulls things together, there is a breath, a slow, eternal exhale, pushing everything apart. This is what we call dark energy. Visualize the universe as a great dark balloon. For a long time, we believed that gravity would eventually pull everything back into a single point, a great crunch. But we were wrong. The universe is breathing out, expanding, growing larger and more spacious with every passing second. And it is this dark energy that drives the expansion. Imagine yourself floating in a calm, dark ocean. With every moment, the water between you and the distant shores expands gently. You're not moving, but the space around you is growing, giving you more room to breathe, more room to be. This mysterious energy makes up nearly 3/4 of the entire universe, yet we have no idea why it exists or where it comes from. It is a smooth, constant pressure, a gentle hand pushing the boundaries of reality further and further out. It suggests that the nature of existence is not contraction or limitation, but infinite growth. It is the ultimate release. Just as you release the tension in your muscles, the universe releases its edges. There is no wall, no ceiling, no end. Just a soft, continuous opening into the forever. Let your mind expand with it. Let your thoughts drift further apart, creating vast, quiet spaces between them where silence can dwell. From the vastness of the expanding cosmos, we drift inward, spiraling down from the stars to the landscape of the human body, specifically to the enigma of the mind's power over matter. We float toward the mystery known as the placebo effect. This is the curious and beautiful realization that belief itself is a kind of medicine. Picture a golden light forming in the center of your chest. Science has observed that when people believe they are being healed, even if the medicine is nothing more than sugar or salt water, their bodies often begin to repair themselves. The pain fades, the heart steadies, the cells regenerate. It is as if the body is a piano and the mind is the pianist. Even without the sheet music of chemical intervention, the mind remembers the song of healing and begins to play it. Imagine the profound comfort in this. You carry within you an ancient, untapped pharmacy. Your conviction, your hope, and your trust are signals that your biology obeys. It is a mystery that defies the rigid laws of chemistry, a blurry line where a thought becomes a molecule, where a wish becomes a physical reality. Visualize this process now as a warm, honey-coloured liquid spreading through your veins. It starts in your mind as a thought of wellness, of safety, and it melts down into your shoulders, your arms, your fingertips. It tells every cell that it is time to rest, time to repair. We do not know how the mind unlocks this door, only that the key is shaped like trust. Trust in this moment. Trust in your body's ability to find its own equilibrium as you sleep. As that golden warmth settles within you, we look outward again, this time to a phenomenon that dances on the edge of myth and meteorology. We drift into the electrically charged air of a summer storm, seeking the rare and elusive ball lightning. For centuries, sailors and lighthouse keepers whispered of them, glowing orbs of light, distinct from the jagged bolts of lightning we know. These are slow, hovering spheres of red, orange, yellow, or blue that float through the air as if possessed by a curious intelligence. Imagine standing on a porch during a quiet rain. The air smells of ozone and wet earth. Suddenly, a sphere of soft, pulsating light, perhaps the size of a grapefruit, drifts silently past the railing. It does not crash or thunder, it hovers. It might glide through a window without breaking the glass, or float down a chimney to hover over a sleeping hearth. Science has tried to recreate them in labs, creating tiny sparks, but the true nature of these natural lanterns remains out of reach. Are they plasma? Are they chemical reactions? We do not know. They are like wandering spirits of the storm, peaceful moments of pure energy that refuse to follow the rules of grounding. Picture one such orb now, a gentle ball of violet light. It is hovering near you, radiating a gentle warmth, humming with a sound almost too low to hear. It is a reminder that nature is not always violent or predictable. Sometimes it is playful. Sometimes it creates art for no one but the watcher in the dark. Watch the orb fade slowly, leaving behind a trail of peace. The mention of that low hum brings us to our next destination in this river of mysteries. We drift to the quiet corners of the world, to Taos, New Mexico, to the English countryside, to secluded valleys, where people hear the hum. It is described not as a noise, but as a sensation, a low-frequency vibration that seems to come from the earth itself. Imagine you're lying in a meadow of tall, soft grass. The wind has stopped. The birds are asleep. The world is perfectly silent. And yet, there is a sound, a deep, resonant thrumming, like a diesel engine idling miles away, or the purring of a cat the size of a mountain. Researchers have sent microphones and sensors trying to track this sound. Sometimes they catch it, often they don't. It seems to exist on the very threshold of hearing, a bridge between sound and feeling. Some say it is the sound of the ocean waves crashing on the continental shelf, vibrating through the bedrock of the earth. Others say it is the atmosphere itself, but let us imagine it as the heartbeat of the planet. A lullaby sung in a register so deep it bypasses the ears and resonates directly in the bones. It is a reminder that the stillness is alive. The silence is not empty. It is full of a deep, steady presence. Feel that vibration now, a gentle rocking motion that aligns with your own slow breathing. It is the sound of the earth holding you, humming a low note of protection to keep the chaos of space at bay. Lulled by this planetary lullaby, we drift naturally toward the activity that occupies a third of our lives, yet remains a profound scientific riddle, the act of sleep itself. We know that every creature, from the tiny fruit fly to the massive blue whale, requires sleep. But why? Why must we disconnect from the world for hours at a time, leaving ourselves vulnerable, paralyzed and unconscious? Science offers theories that we are flushing toxins, that we are consolidating memories, but the core necessity of it, the absolute evolutionary demand of it, remains beautifully obscure. Imagine your brain as a great, bustling library. During the day, books are pulled from shelves, scrolls are unrolled, and notes are scattered on tables. It is a place of high activity. But when sleep comes, the librarians gently usher the patrons out. The lights are dimmed to a soft amber glow. This is the mystery of the restoration. It is not just a pause. It is an active, mysterious healing. Picture the invisible hands of sleep moving through the corridors of your mind, dusting the shelves, repairing the torn pages of your day, and filing away your memories in velvet-lined boxes. It is a time when you return to the factory settings of your soul. We do not know exactly what happens in that dark room, only that we emerge from it renewed. It is a leap of faith we take every night, a trust fall into the arms of the unknown, confident that we will be caught and returned to the morning light whole. And within that library of sleep, there is the deeper, more enigmatic room of consciousness. This is perhaps the greatest mystery of all, the hard problem. We know we have a brain, a physical organ of grey matter, neurons, and electricity. But how does wet biological matter create the experience of being you? How does a firing neuron become the smell of coffee, the feeling of nostalgia, or the redness of a rose? Science can map the brain, but it cannot find the location of the soul. Visualize yourself standing in front of a mirror in a dimly lit room. You see your reflection. But who is the one seeing? Who is the observer behind the eyes? This is the spark that science cannot capture in a test tube. It is the ghost in the machine. Imagine your consciousness not as a product of the brain, but as a signal being received by it, like music playing through a radio. The radio is physical, but the music comes from everywhere. You are that music. You are the ethereal awareness that floats behind the thoughts, the silent watcher that observes the dream. This mystery is not a puzzle to be solved, but a miracle to be felt. It means you are more than the sum of your parts. You are an event. You are a universe observing itself. Let this feeling of expansive selfhood wash over you, detaching you from the physical heaviness of the body, allowing you to float as pure, weightless awareness. As we float in this weightless state, we consider the force that gives us weight in the first place, gravity. It seems so common, so mundane. You drop a stone and it falls. But to a physicist, gravity is a baffling whisper. It is shockingly, impossibly weak compared to the other forces of the universe. Think of a tiny fridge magnet. It is the size of a coin, yet it can pick up a paperclip, defying the gravitational pull of the entire Earth. The whole planet is pulling down, but the little magnet wins. Why is gravity so gentle? Some theories suggest that gravity is weak because it is leaking. Imagine the universe as a series of folded sheets or dimensions. Perhaps gravity is so strong that it flows into other dimensions we cannot see, and we only feel the tiny trickle that remains here. Visualize gravity not as a chain holding you down, but as the curvature of a soft mattress. According to Einstein, gravity is simply the shape of space-time bending around mass. You're not being pulled down, you're resting in a dip in the cosmic fabric. It is a comforting thought that the Earth is bending its back to cradle you. You are nestled in the curve of the world. Gravity is the hug of the planet, just firm enough to keep you from floating away, but gentle enough to let you move, to let you breathe, to let you dream. From the gentle hold of our home planet, we gaze out the window again into the deep, star-studded blackness to contemplate the Fermi paradox. The universe is old and it is vast. There are billions of suns, billions of worlds. Statistically, the sky should be teeming with voices, with signals, with travellers. And yet, when we turn our radio telescopes to the heavens, we hear only the static of stars. This is the great silence. For some, this is lonely. But here, in the landscape of sleep, let us reframe it as a gift. Imagine you are in a cabin in the middle of a snowy forest. You look out the window, and there are no other lights, no other footprints, no noise of traffic. Just the pristine, untouched snow and the quiet trees. The silence of the universe is not empty. It is peaceful. It suggests that perhaps, for now, we are the guardians of consciousness in this corner of the galaxy. It is a quiet solitude that allows us to rest without interference. The universe is not shouting at us. It is giving us space. It is a library where everyone is being respectful of the quiet. We are alone in the best possible way, undisturbed, safe in our own private oasis of life, free to dream our own dreams in the hush of the cosmic night. Finally, we drift to the edge of the visible universe to touch the horizon problem. If you look at the cosmic background radiation, the heat left over from the birth of the universe, it is remarkably, confusingly uniform. No matter where you look, the temperature of the deep universe is exactly the same. It is smooth. It is even. According to standard physics, there shouldn't have been enough time for the heat to spread so evenly across such vast distances. It should be lumpy, with hot spots and cold spots, but it isn't. Imagine drawing a bath. You pour in hot water, you pour in cold. Usually you have to swirl it around for a long time before it feels perfect. But the universe is like a bath that was instantly, magically perfect the moment it was poured. It is a cosmic blanket that has been smoothed out by an unseen hand, ensuring there are no wrinkles, no cold drafts. This uniformity speaks of a deep underlying order. It suggests that everything is connected to everything else, that the heat of a star on one side of the cosmos is intimately balanced with the darkness on the other. You're sleeping in a universe that has reached a state of thermal equilibrium. It is balanced. It is calm. It is a warm bath that stretches on for infinity, maintaining the perfect temperature for life, for thought, and for the deep, dreamless sleep you're now drifting toward. And from that smooth, equilibrated warmth of the cosmic bath, we feel a gentle current begin to take hold, a subtle shift in the stillness. Just as a leaf floating on a glassy pond eventually finds the lazy pull of a stream, our entire galaxy, and millions of others nearby, are being drawn into a mysterious river known as the dark flow. While the universe expands outward in all directions, there is this second, secret motion, a collective drift toward a specific patch of sky between the constellations of Centaurus and Hydra. Imagine a vast, invisible river in the heavens, carrying whole clusters of galaxies along its course. We're not tumbling or crashing, we're gliding. Science cannot explain what is pulling us. The force seems to originate from beyond the edge of the observable universe, from a place where our telescopes cannot see and our mathematics cannot reach. It is as if something colossal and silent is waiting just outside the walls of our reality, beckoning us closer. Do not fear this movement. Instead, visualize yourself lying on a raft, drifting down this celestial stream. You do not need to paddle. You do not need to steer. The current is ancient and sure. It implies that even on the grandest scale, there is a direction, a destination, a flow to things that we do not need to control. We are simply passengers on a majestic voyage toward an unknown harbour, carried by the momentum of the stars themselves. Feel that gentle tug now, the sensation of being guided by a force greater than gravity, deeper than time, pulling you softly toward a place of ultimate rest. As we flow along this starry river, we drift past the boundaries of our own solar neighbourhood, approaching a quiet precipice known as the Kuiper Cliff. We know the solar system is surrounded by a ring of icy debris, the Kuiper Belt, like a halo of frozen dust and rock. But at a certain point, roughly 50 astronomical units from the Sun, the rock and ice simply stop. The density of objects drops off dramatically, creating a vast, empty edge. It is not a gradual fading away. It is a cliff, a sudden silence in the noise of debris. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense, snowy forest. Behind you is the clutter of the woods, the trees, the bushes, the fallen branches. But in front of you there is only an open white field of snow stretching into the dark. This is the Kuiper Cliff. Some astronomers wonder if a hidden planet scoured this area clean, but perhaps it is simply the natural border of our home, a cosmic fence line that marks where our backyard ends and the deep wild begins. There is a profound peace in this emptiness. It defines a space of safety. It suggests that our solar system is a contained room, a sheltered enclave within the galaxy. Float over this edge now. Leave behind the clutter of asteroids and comets. Drift out over the pristine, empty silence of the cliff, where there are no obstacles, only the smooth, dark velvet of open space. The silence here is deeper than anywhere else, a thick, muffling quiet that wraps around your thoughts and quiets them instantly. Drifting back inward from that silent edge, we are drawn toward the mesmerizing beauty of the ringed giant Saturn. Here, swirling at the planet's north pole, lies one of the solar system's most hypnotic riddles, the hexagon. It is a cloud pattern, a storm of immense proportions. But unlike the chaotic spirals of Earth's hurricanes, this storm is a perfect six-sided shape. It is a piece of rigid geometry formed out of flowing gas, spinning eternally. Each side is longer than the Earth itself. The colours are muted golds, azures, and creams, rotating in a slow, rhythmic ballet. Picture this hexagon spinning above you like a great slow kaleidoscope. How does nature, which usually favours circles and spirals, create such a sharp, angular masterpiece in a fluid atmosphere? We have recreated it in buckets of water in laboratories, but the scale of Saturn's storm defies total comprehension. It suggests a hidden order within chaos, a mathematical harmony that hums beneath the surface of the turbulence. Watch the hexagon turn in your mind's eye. It is precise, methodical, and calm in its consistency. Let your breathing synchronize with its slow rotation. In for one side, out for the next. It is a reminder that the universe is not just a random scattering of matter. It is an artist, capable of drawing straight lines with the wind, creating structure out of the mist, maintaining a perfect shape in the middle of a storm. Let that structure hold you together now, giving form to your relaxation. As we turn our gaze from the distant giants back toward our own Earth, we catch sight of a familiar friend rising above the horizon, the moon. But tonight, it looks different. This is the mystery of the moon illusion. You have likely seen it. When the full moon hangs low near the skyline, peering through the trees or rising over the ocean, it appears massive, a giant glowing lantern dominating the night. Yet, when it rises high into the zenith of the sky hours later, it seems to shrink, becoming a small, distant coin. Science tells us the moon does not change size. Its distance from us is constant. If you were to hold a ruler at arm's length, it would measure the same at the horizon as it does overhead. The expansion happens entirely within the soft machinery of your mind. It is a beautiful trick of perception, a moment where your brain decides to magnify the beauty of the world. Imagine standing on a beach at twilight. The air is cool and smells of salt. The moon begins to crest the water, thick and heavy like a scoop of peach sorbet. Your mind, seeing it next to the tiny houses and trees, perceives it as immense, bringing it closer to you. It is as if the universe is leaning in, shouting its presence in a whisper of light. Allow yourself to be fooled. Allow yourself to feel the closeness of that celestial body. It is a comforting illusion, a reminder that your perception creates your reality. Tonight, let your reality be large, warm, and glowing. Let the moonlight feel heavy and tangible, a blanket of pale luminescence draping over your shoulders. Under the light of this giant moon, the creatures of the earth begin their journeys, guided by the invisible compass of magnetoreception. We watch the sea turtles gliding through the dark currents, and the Arctic terns soaring across global distances. They do not have maps, they do not have GPS, they have a secret sense, a biological connection to the magnetic field of the Earth itself. It is a mystery how this works. Perhaps there are tiny crystals of magnetite in their beaks, or perhaps quantum reactions in their eyes allow them to literally see the magnetic lines of the planet as glowing ribbons in the sky. Imagine, for a moment, that you possess this sense. Close your eyes and feel the north. It is not a direction you have to think about. It is a gentle pull in your chest, a silver thread connecting your heart to the pole of the world. You are never lost. You're always oriented. The earth is constantly broadcasting its shape to you, telling you exactly where you stand. This is the ultimate grounding. Just as the birds trust the invisible lines to carry them across oceans, you can trust the invisible support of life to carry you through the night. You're gridlocked into safety. You're held by the planet's own aura. Feel the magnetic field as a soft hum, a protective bubble that aligns your cells, calming the scattered energy of the day into a straight, coherent stream of peace. While the wild things navigate the globe, a smaller domestic mystery curls up at the foot of your bed. We turn our attention to the cat's purr. It is a sound of pure contentment, but it is also a biomechanical anomaly. Domestic cats purr at a consistent frequency of between 20 and 140 Hz. What makes this mysterious is that this specific range of vibration corresponds exactly to the frequencies that promote tissue regeneration and bone healing. When a cat purrs, it is not just expressing happiness, it is performing a kind of sound therapy on itself and on you. Imagine a warm, soft weight resting on your chest. The room is silent save for that rhythmic, rumbling vibration. It is a low, motor-like thrum that travels through your skin and into your muscles. Science suggests this vibration can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, and even help knit broken bones back together. It is a lullaby that heals. Visualize this sound as a colour, a deep, resonant amber pulsing in time with your heart. It loosens the knots in your back. It soothes the tension in your brow. It is nature's way of saying that rest is not passive. Rest is an active state of repair. Allow that imaginary purr to resonate in your throat and chest now, a phantom vibration that shakes loose the last clinging dust of wakefulness, leaving only a smooth, quiet stillness in its wake. As your body settles deeper into the mattress, lulled by that healing rhythm, you might suddenly experience a sudden involuntary twitch, a hypnagogic jerk. You feel as though you are falling, and your leg kicks out, startling you for a fleeting second. While this can be surprising, let us reframe it through the lens of evolutionary mystery. One theory suggests this is an ancient echo from our ancestors who slept in trees. As the muscles relax too much, the brain sent a signal to wake up and catch the branch, ensuring safety. But there is a softer interpretation. Think of it as the physical sensation of letting go. Your muscles are releasing their tension so profoundly, so completely, that your brain momentarily confuses this deep relaxation with the sensation of floating or falling. It is a test. Your body is asking, is it safe to drop the weight I've been carrying? And the answer is yes, it is safe. If you feel that twitch, welcome it. It is a sign that you are crossing the threshold. It is the breaking of the chains that hold you to the waking world. You're cutting the tether. Instead of jerking back, imagine you're falling into a pile of down feathers, deeper and deeper. The fall is not scary. It is soft. It is the feeling of gravity taking over, pulling you down into the heavy, sweet embrace of sleep. As you descend past that threshold, a feeling washes over you, a sense that you've been here before. We drift into the phenomenon of déjà vu. The French call it already seen. It is that eerie, dreamlike sensation that the current moment is a replay of a memory. Science struggles to explain it. Is it a delay in the brain's processing? A mismatch between short-term and long-term memory? Or is it something more poetic? Imagine that time is not a straight line, but a spiral. Occasionally, the curve of the spiral brings you close to a moment you have already lived, or a moment you have dreamed. Déjà vu is the echo in the canyon of time. It is a feeling of alignment. When it happens, the world feels suddenly significant, suspended, and thick with meaning. In this state of relaxation, let that feeling of familiarity wash over you. You have been this relaxed before. You have known this peace before. Your body remembers how to sleep, even if your mind thinks it has forgotten. You're returning to a place you know well. The darkness behind your eyelids is a room you have visited 1,000 times. It is home. Let the familiarity comfort you. You're not exploring new terrain. You're walking a path worn smooth by your own history of rest. From the familiarity of memory, we slide into the curious physics of temperature, contemplating the Mpemba effect. It is a paradox that defies intuition. Under certain conditions, hot water freezes faster than cold water. Aristotle noticed it. Modern scientists still argue over the why. Imagine a winter night, the air crisp and biting. You have a cup of steaming hot water full of energy and heat. You toss it into the freezing air. Instead of slowly cooling down, the hot water instantly turns into a cloud of diamond dust, a spray of ice crystals hanging in the air. This mystery teaches us a lesson about energy and rest. Sometimes, having more energy, more heat, allows you to transition more quickly into a state of stillness. The heat evaporates, carrying energy away, allowing the remaining water to crystallize into ice. Think of your racing thoughts, your active mind, as that hot water. You do not need to force them to cool down slowly. You can simply release them. Throw them into the cool vastness of the night. Let the heat of the day evaporate in an instant, turning into a beautiful, harmless mist. You're undergoing a phase change. You're moving from the fluid, hot chaos of the day to the solid, cool, crystalline structure of sleep. It can happen faster than you think. Let the heat go. Feel the cool freeze of relaxation spreading from your toes to your head, locking you into a comfortable stasis. And finally, as we settle into this crystalline stillness, we look inward, past the cells, past the molecules, into the very code that builds us, our DNA. For decades, scientists looked at the double helix and saw that nearly 98% of it did not seem to code for proteins. They called it junk DNA. They thought it was useless debris, leftovers from millions of years of evolution. But now, we're beginning to realize that this silence in the code is full of secrets. It is not junk, it is a hidden library. Imagine walking through a massive archive. The books on the shelves, the genes, are only a small part of the room. The rest is open space, architectural flourishes, hidden switches, and regulatory instructions that tell the books when to open and close. This dark matter of the genome controls the expression of life. It implies that within you, right now, there are vast reserves of potential, vast instructions for life that are silent, waiting, or simply holding the structure together. You're mostly made of mystery. You're mostly made of silence. You do not need to understand every part of yourself to be whole. The silence within you is doing work you cannot see. It is regulating, protecting, and guiding. Rest in the knowledge that you are a complex ancient miracle, and the parts of you that seem to be doing nothing are actually holding everything together. Sleep now, and let the silent code repair the temple. And from that silent internal library of your own code, we let our awareness drift outward to the very tips of your body, to the pads of your fingers. Here lies the tactile mystery of fingerprints. Look closely at your own hand in your mind's eye. See the loops, the whorls, and the arches etched into your skin like topographic maps of a personal country. Science tells us that these ridges help with grip, or perhaps to amplify the sensitivity of our touch, picking up the finest textures of the world. But the mystery deepens when we look at the koala. These gentle creatures sleeping high in the eucalyptus trees of Australia possess fingerprints so identical to humans that even expert crime scene investigators have struggled to tell them apart. Why does nature, across millions of years of evolutionary separation, paint the exact same labyrinth on the hands of a human and the paws of a koala? It is a riddle of convergent design, a secret signature shared between us and the animal kingdom. Imagine tracing those lines now. Feel the texture of the world around you, the smoothness of the sheets, the softness of the pillow. These ridges are your connection point to reality, the physical boundary where you end and the world begins. But in the softness of the night, that boundary begins to blur. The loops on your fingers are not just for gripping, they are for feeling the texture of peace. Imagine that your fingerprints are tiny labyrinths, and as you trace them mentally, you are walking deeply into the center of yourself, winding round and round until you reach the quiet, still point in the center of the whirl. As you rest in that center, your breath naturally deepens, and you might feel the urge to take a long, open-mouthed inhale, a yawn. This is one of the most common, yet least understood behaviors in the animal kingdom. We yawn when we are tired, yes, but we also yawn when we see others yawn. It is a contagion of comfort. For a long time, scientists thought it was simply to draw in more oxygen, but modern theories suggest something more soothing, that a yawn is a cooling mechanism for the brain. Picture your mind as a powerful engine that has been running all day, processing thoughts, solving problems, navigating the noise. The yawn is the thermal vent. As you open your jaw wide and draw in that rush of cool air, imagine it circulating around the base of your skull, lowering the temperature of your thoughts. It is a physical reset button, but the mystery remains. Why is it contagious? Why does seeing a yawn trigger one in you? It suggests a deep, invisible network of empathy connecting all living things. When you yawn, you are participating in a silent communal signal that says, "It is safe to rest now. We're lowering our guard together." Allow that sensation to take over. Let your jaw unhinge slightly. Let the air flow in, cool and cleansing, washing away the heat of the day's worries. As your eyes grow heavy and close, you're not plunged into total darkness. You enter the world of phosphonies. These are the swirling patterns of colour, the starbursts, and the drifting geometric shapes you see when your eyes are shut tight or when you press your palms against them. Science knows they are caused by the firing of cells within the eye, but the patterns they form, checkerboards, spirals, tunnels, are remarkably consistent across all humanity. It is as if the visual cortex, deprived of the outside world, begins to paint with its own internal light. You're carrying a portable galaxy behind your eyelids. Watch these phantom lights now. Perhaps you see a soft indigo cloud pulsing slowly, or faint sparks of gold drifting like fireflies. They are the idle screen of your consciousness. They are proof that you do not need the sun to see light. You generate your own luminescence. Watch the shapes morph and change like oil on water. Follow a spiral as it turns slowly inward. These are not random static. They are the visual lullabies your brain creates to entertain you as you wait for the true dreams to begin. Let the colours hypnotize you, pulling you deeper into the velvet theatre of the mind. From the internal dance of lights, our imagination takes flight to the evening sky, where thousands of birds gather to perform the mesmerizing riddle of the murmuration. Picture a vast flock of starlings, tens of thousands of them, moving as a single fluid entity against the twilight grey. They swoop, they dive, they twist into the shape of an hourglass, then a teardrop, then a rolling wave. They never collide, they never break formation. Biologists have used high-speed cameras and complex mathematics to study them, yet the speed of their communication remains baffling. It happens faster than a biological reaction time should allow. When one bird turns, the bird on the other side of the flock, hundreds of feet away, turns almost instantly. It is as if they are not thousands of birds but one liquid organism, connected by a telepathic field. Imagine you are part of this flock. You do not need to decide where to go. You do not need to worry about the direction. You simply surrender to the flow of the group. You are weightless, carried by the updraft of 10,000 wings. There is no resistance, only the pure, ecstatic joy of movement without effort. You're a drop of water in a river of feathers flowing seamlessly through the sky. Feel that sense of belonging, of moving in perfect harmony with the universe, drifting wherever the wind of the night takes you. The flock settles into the trees as night truly falls, and below them, the forest floor begins to pulse with another synchronized mystery. We find ourselves in the Great Smoky Mountains, or the riverbanks of Southeast Asia, witnessing the phenomenon of synchronous fireflies. Most fireflies flash randomly, chaotic sparks in the dark. But in these rare, special places, the chaos organizes itself. Thousands of beetles begin to blink in unison. Imagine standing in a warm, dark forest. At first, there are scattered flashes. Then, slowly, a rhythm emerges. Flash, darkness, flash, darkness. Soon, the entire forest is breathing with light. 6 times a minute, the trees light up as if a silent conductor has raised a baton, and then they plunge back into total obscurity. Science cannot fully explain how they achieve this perfect timing, or why the rhythm creates such a trance-like state in those who watch it. It is a heartbeat made of light. Visualize this rhythm in your own body. Tense your muscles gently as the light flashes, and then release them completely into the darkness. Flash, hold, darkness, release. The silence between the flashes is where the rest lives. The darkness is not empty. It is the pause that gives the light meaning. Let your breath follow this pattern, syncing your biological clock with the pulse of the living forest. We leave the forest and drift down to the edge of the sea, stepping into a boat to glide out over the open ocean. Here, we encounter the nautical legend that satellites have confirmed is real, the Milky Seas. Sailors for centuries told stories of the ocean turning white, glowing with a steady pale luminescence that stretched from horizon to horizon. Unlike the brief sparks of bioluminescent algae disturbed by a wake, this is a continuous, milky glow, covering thousands of square miles. Imagine drifting on a sea of clouds. The water beneath you is not black, but a soft glowing alabaster, lighting up the hull of your boat and the faces of the crew. It is caused by massive colonies of bioluminescent bacteria, but why they gather in such astronomical numbers to turn the ocean into a mirror of the moon remains unknown. It is as if the sky has fallen into the water. You are floating in a sphere of light. There is no up or down, only a soft, pervasive brightness that wraps you in a cocoon. The water is calm, the glow is steady. It is a nightlight the size of an ocean. Let this image bleach away any dark thoughts, replacing them with a smooth white tranquility. You're floating on a sea of milk, nourished, held and illuminated from below. From the glowing surface we sink slowly, deeper and deeper, past the twilight zone, into the crushing dark of the abyss. Here, the hydrophones of scientists have picked up a sound that defies explanation. They call it the bloop. It was a low-frequency sound, powerful and incredibly loud, detected across thousands of miles of ocean. It mimicked the noise of a marine animal, but to be heard that far away, the creature would have to be larger than a blue whale, larger than anything we have ever seen. Some say it was an ice quake, a massive shelf of ice cracking in Antarctica. Others still dream of the Leviathan. But in this safe space of sleep, let us imagine it as the snoring of the earth itself. Deep in the water, where the pressure is immense and the silence is heavy, there is a slow, rhythmic vibration. It is a sound so deep you feel it in your bones rather than hear it with your ears. It is the sound of something ancient and massive shifting in its sleep. It reminds us that there are giants in the deep and that the ocean is not empty. It is filled with a presence. Let that deep, resonant vibration travel through the mattress and into your spine. It is a heavy, grounding bass note that anchors you, pulling you down away from the flutter of high-frequency thoughts, down into the slow, heavy, peaceful depths where true sleep resides. In these depths, we find a creature that has solved the problem we all face, the passage of time. Drifting like a tiny, translucent bell is the Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish. Most creatures are born, they age, and they pass away. But when this small jellyfish is injured, sick, or simply old, it does something miraculous. It folds in on itself, absorbing its tentacles, and sinks to the ocean floor. It reverts to its earlier stage of life, becoming a polyp again. It is born anew. It does not die. It simply starts over. It flows backward through its own timeline. Imagine the profound relief of this biology. Imagine that tonight, you're not just sleeping, you're reversing. With every hour that you rest, you're shedding the wear and tear of the years. You're melting back into a state of pure potential. The stress of adulthood is dissolving, and you're returning to the soft, unblemished calm of a new beginning. Sleep is your cocoon of regression. You're cycling back to the source. Visualize your body becoming soft, fluid, and weightless, drifting in the dark water, ready to be formed again by the morning light, fresh and new. We drift from the ocean to the microscopic world, finding a champion of rest that can survive anywhere, the tardigrade. These water bears are tiny, eight-legged travellers that can survive the vacuum of space, the pressure of the deepest trenches, and intense radiation. Their secret is a state called cryptobiosis, or the ton state. When conditions are harsh, when it's too dry or too cold, they simply curl up into a ball, expel almost all the water from their bodies, and turn their metabolism off. They essentially turn into glass. They can stay in this suspended animation for decades. They do not dream. They do not hunger. They simply wait. And when water returns, they rehydrate and wake up as if nothing happened. This is the ultimate form of hibernation. It is a biological pause button. Tonight, you're entering your own ton state. You're not quitting. You're preserving. You're curling inward, protecting your vital energy, and waiting for the morning sun to rehydrate your spirit. You're indestructible in this rest. Nothing can hurt you here. The noise of the world cannot reach you. You're a closed circle, safe, durable, and infinitely patient. Finally, as we float in this suspended state, we tune into the background hum of the planet itself. This is the Schumann resonance. Between the surface of the Earth and the edge of the ionosphere, there is a cavity, a space that acts like a global bell. Every lightning strike on the planet, and there are about 50 every second, rings this bell. The result is a constant low-frequency electromagnetic wave pulsing around the globe at 783 Hz. This frequency, the heartbeat of the Earth, wraps around the planet like a blanket. Remarkably, this frequency matches the brainwaves of humans when they are in a state of deep relaxation and meditation. We evolved bathed in this frequency. We are tuned to the planet. Science cannot fully explain why the Earth and the brain hum the same song, but it suggests a profound connection. You're not separate from the Earth, You are vibrating with it. Imagine this pulse now, 7.83 beats per second. A low, invisible thrumming that rises from the ground, passes through the floor and cradles your body. It is the mother beat. It is the sound of safety. Align your mind with it. You are syncing with the oldest rhythm in the world. The lightning storms of the Amazon, the thunder over the Sahara, the rain in the Pacific. They're all working together to keep this cradle rocking. You're held in the electromagnetic arms of the world. Let go of your own rhythm and surrender to the Earth's. It is steady. It is constant. It is carrying you, beat by slow beat, into the deepest, most restorative silence of all. And harmonizing with that planetary heartbeat, we turn our receivers upward, angling the great metal dishes of our curiosity toward the constellations, listening for a different kind of pulse. We drift now to the mystery of the wow signal. In the late summer of 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio, known affectionately as the Big Ear, was scanning the star-dense region of Sagittarius. The telescope was listening to the static of the cosmos, the hiss of hydrogen, the background noise of the universe. And then, for exactly 72 seconds, the static broke. A signal arrived. It was loud, continuous, and incredibly distinct, rising above the background noise like a trumpet blast in a library. It was not a random burst of static. It had the specific frequency signature that astronomers believed an intelligent civilization would use to say, hello. A volunteer astronomer, seeing the code 6EQUJ5 printed on the computer paper, was so stunned he circled it in red pen and wrote wow in the margin. It has never been heard again. We have listened to that spot in the sky for decades since, but there has been only silence. Imagine the romance of this solitude. Was it a lighthouse beam sweeping past the Earth just once? Was it a lonely traveller calling out into the dark, not expecting an answer? Visualize that signal as a golden ribbon of sound, travelling for centuries through the cold vacuum, washing over our planet for one brief, perfect moment before continuing on into the infinite. It reminds us to pay attention. It suggests that the universe is not just a place of matter, but a place of events, of fleeting miracles that happen whether we are watching or not. Let the memory of that signal act as a beacon for you now. You do not need to understand the message to feel the connection. Someone, or something, or perhaps just the universe itself spoke. And for 72 seconds, we heard it. Tracing the path of that signal back into the deep, we find ourselves drifting through a region of space that science finds bafflingly empty. We enter the Buddha's void. If the universe is a sprawling city of lights, this is the great central park, a sphere of darkness so immense that it defies our understanding of how galaxies form. It is 330 million light-years across. In a space this size, there should be thousands of galaxies teeming with stars. But here, there are fewer than 60. Imagine floating in the centre of this void. If the Milky Way were located here, mankind would not have known other galaxies existed until the invention of the strongest telescopes in the 1960s. We would have looked up and seen only our own stars, surrounded by an endless, inky blackness. It is the great nothing. But do not let this darkness frighten you. Let it expand you. It is a place of absolute quiet. It is a cosmic sanctuary where gravity has lost its grip, where the clutter of the universe has been cleared away to create a room of infinite potential. Float there now. The silence is thick and velvety. There is no pressure, no heat, no noise. It is a vacuum of pure peace. The Buddha's void suggests that emptiness is not a lack of something, but a presence in itself. It is space to breathe. It is the pause between the notes that makes the music beautiful. Let your mind become like this void, vast, spacious and uncluttered, a dark canvas waiting for the soft dreams of the night to be painted upon it. From the weightlessness of the void, we descend slowly, carried by gravity back to the surface of our own world, landing softly on the cracked, dry floor of a desert valley. We're in Death Valley, standing on the racetrack playa, staring at the mystery of the sailing stones. Here, scattered across the flat, dried mud, are heavy rocks, some weighing hundreds of pounds. Behind them, etched deep into the hard clay, are long, winding trails. These stones move. They slide across the desert floor, sometimes travelling hundreds of feet, turning corners and even reversing direction. Yet no one has ever seen them move. For decades, it was a ghost story. How do rocks walk? Some theories involve thin sheets of ice forming on cold nights, creating a frictionless raft that the wind pushes gently. Others speak of unexpected mud flows, but the feeling of the mystery is what matters. It is the beauty of unseen progress. Imagine the desert at night, under a blanket of stars. The wind sighs through the canyon, and there, in the secret hours of the dark, the heavy burdens of the earth begin to glide. They move without effort. They move without witness. This is a lesson for your own rest. You do not need to force progress. You do not need to push. There are invisible forces, the wind of the spirit, the ice of the mind, that can move the heaviest obstacles in your life while you sleep. You can let go of the control. Trust that when you wake, things will have shifted. The stones are moving for you. The work is being done in the quiet. Leaving the dry lake bed, we travel across the ocean to the red sands of the Namib Desert, where the earth decorates itself in a pattern known as the fairy circles. Stretching for hundreds of miles, the grassland is interrupted by millions of perfect circular patches of bare red earth. They are spaced with uncanny regularity, creating a polka dot landscape that looks like it was designed by a mathematician. The local Himba people say they are the footprints of the gods. Scientists have argued for decades. Are they created by termites clearing the grass to store water? Is it the plants themselves competing for resources, organising into a pattern to survive the drought? It is a self-organising mystery. It shows us that nature, left to its own devices, gravitates toward order. It does not create chaos. It creates geometry. Visualise this landscape from above. It is a honeycomb of life and rest. The green grass is the activity. The red circles are the pauses. You need both. You need the fairy circles in your own day, the empty moments, the clearings where nothing grows but peace. Wander into one of these circles now. Feel the warmth of the red sand beneath your feet. It is a protected zone. Nothing crowds you here. You're standing in a perfect circle of solitude, surrounded by the soft rustle of the grass, protected by the inexplicable order of the earth. From the open desert, we move into the cool, dappled shade of a dense forest. Look up. High above, where the branches of the giant camphor and eucalyptus trees reach for the sun, you see a phenomenon called crown shyness. The trees grow tall and strong, spreading their canopies wide, but they never quite touch. Around the edges of each tree's crown, there is a distinct gap, a channel of empty sky that separates it from its neighbour. It creates a river of light running through the roof of the forest. Why do they do this? Are they avoiding the spread of insects? Are they protecting their buds from abrasion in the wind? It is a gesture of arboreal respect. The trees understand the need for personal space. They're connected by their roots, but they remain individual in the sky. This image is a visual anchor for your boundaries. Imagine you are one of these great trees. You're rooted deep in the earth, stable and strong. But up in the airy realms of your mind, you have a buffer zone. You have a halo of light around you that keeps the noise and stress of others at bay. You're close to the world, but you're not crowded by it. There is a gap. There is air. There is light. Breathe into that gap now. Feel the freedom of having your own space, defined by the gentle, respectful shyness of the forest. As we look down from the canopy to the damp forest floor, or perhaps to a meadow after a meteor shower, we encounter the strange, translucent substance known as star jelly. For centuries, people have found gelatinous blobs of clear or white jelly on the grass, evaporating quickly after they're found. Folklore has always insisted that these are the remains of falling stars, bits of celestial matter that melted as they hit the earth. Science has tried to analyse it. Is it frog spawn regurgitated by birds? Is it a type of cyanobacteria that swells with rain? Is it slime mould? Often the samples degrade before they can be tested, vanishing like a dream, but let us hold to the name star jelly. It is a beautiful bridge between the heavens and the earth. It suggests that the stars are not just fire and gas, but something tangible, something that can land softly in the dew of the morning. Imagine touching this substance. It is cool, soothing, and vibrates with the energy of the upper atmosphere. It is the physical manifestation of a wish. Think of your worries dissolving just as this jelly dissolves. Mysterious, fleeting, and leaving no trace behind. The earth absorbs it. The mystery is reclaimed by the soil. You're safe to let your own heaviness melt away, turning into nothing but morning dew. The moisture from the ground rises, lifting us up, higher and higher, until we are floating in the atmosphere above the Gulf of Carpentaria in northern Australia. Here, the sky performs a feat of fluid dynamics that looks like a painting. The morning glory clouds. These are not ordinary fluff balls. They are massive, perfect tubes of cloud, rolling horizontally across the sky like giant white pipes. They can be 600 miles long, stretching from one horizon to the other, spinning slowly as they travel. Pilots and glider enthusiasts travel from all over the world just to surf the airwaves these clouds create. Imagine lying on top of one of these rolling clouds. It is soft like spun cotton, but it has the solidity of a slow-moving wave. You're drifting forward, carried by a meteorological miracle. The air is smooth. The motion is hypnotic. It is a blanket that is unrolling itself across the world to tuck you in. Watch the tube of cloud stretch out into infinity. It is a barrier between the earth below and the space above, a protective layer of white velvet. The rotation is slow and rhythmic, over and over a cycle of softness. Let your thoughts be caught in that roll, smoothed out, flattened, and carried away over the ocean, leaving your mind as clear and blue as the sky behind it. As the cloud passes, we drift down to a different kind of dune, perhaps in the Gobi Desert or the Mojave, to listen to the singing sands. In certain rare places, when the sand slides down the face of a dune, it creates a sound. It is not a rustle, it is a hum. It is a low-frequency drone, sometimes as loud as a low-flying plane, sometimes as melodic as a cello or a choir of monks. Grains of sand tumbling over one another somehow synchronize their vibrations to create a note. It is the voice of the desert. Science believes it has to do with the size of the grains and the friction, but to hear the earth sing is a transcendent mystery. Imagine lying on the slope of a warm dune. You're perfectly supported by the millions of tiny grains, and as you shift your weight, the sand beneath you begins to purr. It is a deep, resonant om rising from the geology of the planet. It vibrates against your back, loosening the tight muscles of your spine. It is a sound bath provided by nature. The earth is singing you to sleep. It is a heavy golden sound, ancient and dry, absorbing all the sharp, high-pitched stresses of your life and burying them under the shifting sands. Listen to the low hum. Feel it resonate in your chest. You're harmonizing with the ground. From the dry sands, we travel to the humid, mystical banks of the Mekong River in Thailand, waiting for the full moon of late autumn. We are watching for the Naga fireballs. Rising silently from the dark, rushing waters of the river are glowing red orbs. They range from the size of a sparkle to the size of a basketball. They shoot straight up into the night sky, hundreds of feet before fading away. There is no sound, there is no smoke, just pure rising light. Locals say they are the breath of the Naga, a mythical serpent living in the river. Scientists have proposed flammable phosphine gas bubbles fermentation in the riverbed, but the regularity and the lack of combustion sound make it a lingering puzzle. Visualize the river at night, black, glossy and powerful, and then the release. A sphere of warm, red light breaks the surface and ascends. It is a symbol of letting go. Imagine every thought you want to release is one of these fireballs. You do not need to push it away, you simply let it rise. It floats up, weightless and warm, glowing against the velvet dark, higher and higher until it simply blinks out, becoming one with the stars. Watch them rise, one by one. The river flows on, dark and heavy, but the lights are free. You are the river, grounded and flowing. Your worries are the lights, leaving you, returning to the sky. And finally, we look past the river, past the sky, and into the very fabric of reality itself, to the deepest mystery of physics, quantum entanglement. This is the phenomenon that Einstein called spooky action at a distance. It reveals that two particles, once connected, remain connected forever, no matter how far apart they travel. If you separate them by the width of the entire universe and change the spin of one, the other changes its spin instantly, faster than the speed of light, without any wire or signal between them. They simply know. This implies that separation is an illusion. Space is not a barrier to connection. If everything in the universe was once crushed together in the singularity of the Big Bang, then everything is, in some deep, fundamental way, still entangled. You're connected to the stars. You're connected to the earth. You're connected to the people you love, even if they are far away. Wrap yourself in this thought like a warm blanket. You are never truly alone. The atoms in your body are dancing in time with atoms across the cosmos. There is an invisible web of relationship that holds the universe together, a web of instant, timeless connection. You are part of the whole. You are held by the entire fabric of existence. There is no distance that can break the bond of your belonging. Rest in that unity. Rest in the knowledge that you are woven into the masterpiece, inseparable from the source, entangled with the peace that permeates every corner of the dark, infinite night. And connected by that invisible, entangled web, we turn our gaze to the behavior of the smallest threads of that fabric, drifting into the enigma of the observer effect. In the quantum realm, reality behaves with a shyness that defies logic. When we fire tiny particles, electrons or photons, through two slits, they act like ripples of water, flowing through both openings at once and interfering with themselves. They exist as a wave of pure possibility. But the moment we place a detector there to watch them, the moment an observer steps into the room, they snap into position. They stop acting like waves and start acting like solid little marbles. It is as if the universe is waiting for you to notice it before it decides what to be. Imagine the profound intimacy of this mystery. It suggests that the world is not a rigid, cold stage set that exists independently of you. It is a fluid, dreamlike potential that crystallizes only when you turn your attention to it. You're not just a passive audience member, you are the director of the play. Visualize the room around you right now in the dark. In the absence of your gaze, perhaps the walls are soft, shimmering waves of energy, gently undulating. Perhaps the chair in the corner is merely a cloud of probability. But as your mind rests upon them, they settle into stability to hold you. You have the power to solidify peace. By focusing on the feeling of heaviness in your limbs, you are collapsing the wave function of the universe into a state of rest. You are the anchor. Without your consciousness, the story does not exist. Sleep now, knowing that the universe is holding its breath, waiting for you to dream it into a new shape. From the collapsing waves of quantum potential, we drift toward a phenomenon where sound itself collapses to create a star. This is the mystery of sonoluminescence. It sounds like magic, turning noise into light, but it is a real, observed event in the laboratories of physicists. When a sound wave travels through water, it creates tiny bubbles. If the frequency is just right, these bubbles expand and then violently collapse. And in that final moment of implosion, for a fraction of a second, the bubble emits a flash of bright blue light. Inside that collapsing bubble, the temperature skyrockets to thousands of degrees, as hot as the surface of the sun. It is a star in a jar. Science cannot fully agree on why this happens. Is it the friction of the air molecules rubbing together? Is it a quantum vacuum effect? We do not know. But the image is one of the most hypnotic in nature, a sound becoming a light. Imagine your own thoughts as these bubbles, the noise of the day, the words you have spoken, the sounds you have heard. Imagine them drifting into the deep, cool water of your mind. As they sink, the pressure of the silence squeezes them, but instead of popping violently, they implode into tiny, harmless sparks of light. Pop, flash, pop, flash. They are gone. The noise is transmuted into illumination. You're converting the sound of the world into a galaxy of quiet stars within your own chest. Watch the bubbles sink and glow, blue, white, serene. The sound is gone, leaving only the gentle, fading light of a peaceful mind. The water that holds those glowing bubbles holds a mystery of its own, the very origin of water. Look at the oceans in your mind's eye, the vast blue expanse that covers our world. It is the cradle of all life, and yet science is still debating where it came from. When the Earth was first formed, it was a molten rock, too hot to hold liquid water. It should be dry as a bone. So, where did the oceans come from? The leading theory is a poetic delivery system from the stars. It is believed that millions of years ago, a bombardment of icy comets and asteroids from the outer edges of the solar system rained down upon our planet. They were cosmic water balloons, carrying the frozen tears of the universe. Every sip of water you take, every tear you cry, every rainstorm that lulls you to sleep, it is all alien. It is all ancient extraterrestrial ice that travelled billions of miles to get here. Feel the moisture in the air of your room. It is star stuff. We are bathing in the melted remnants of comets. This connects you to the deep history of the galaxy. You're not just on Earth. You're swimming in a pool filled by the cosmos. Imagine a gentle rain falling now. Each drop is a traveller from the Kuiper Belt, landing softly on the roof, tapping a rhythm of arrival. They have travelled for eons just to bring cooling relief to this planet, and to you. Let the ancient nature of water wash over you, cleansing the present moment with the purity of deep time. That ancient water flows into the rivers, and the rivers flow into the sea, where they guide us to the baffling journey of the European eel. These creatures, slippery and serpentine, live in the rivers of Europe, hiding in the mud. But when the time comes, they leave their homes. They swim down the rivers, out into the Atlantic Ocean, and vanish. For centuries, no human had ever seen an eel egg or a baby eel. It was as if they appeared from nowhere. We now know they all swim thousands of miles to a specific quiet patch of the ocean called the Sargasso Sea. It is a sea without a shore, a vast, slow-moving gyre of floating seaweed in the middle of the Atlantic. Here, in the warm, dark, weed-choked water, they spawn and die. And then, the tiny, transparent larvae drift on the currents for years, finding their way back to the exact same rivers their parents came from. How do they know the way? How does a creature born in the middle of the ocean know how to find a small creek in France or a stream in Ireland? There is a magnetic pull of home that science cannot quantify. It is an instinct that transcends learning. Imagine floating in that Sargasso Sea now. The water is warm and filled with golden drifting weeds. You're held in the centre of the ocean's rotation. There is no urgency here. You're at the source. It is a reminder that you too have an internal compass. You know how to return to yourself. You know how to find the river of sleep. You do not need a map. You simply need to let go and let the current of your instinct carry you back to the place where you were made. The dark, warm, regenerative waters of rest. Drifting from the seaweed forests of the ocean to the hardwood forests of the land, we encounter the silent intelligence of the wood wide web. Beneath the floor of the forest, under the moss and the fallen leaves, there is a brain. It is made of thin, white threads of fungus called mycelium. These threads connect the roots of the trees and plants, creating a vast subterranean network. Through this network, trees communicate. Science has proven that they swap nutrients. A large, sun-soaked tree will send sugar down its roots and through the fungal web to feed a small sapling growing in the shade. If a tree is attacked by beetles, it sends a chemical warning signal through the web, telling its neighbours to raise their defences. It is a community of care that operates entirely in the dark. Visualise this glowing white network beneath you. The earth is not just dirt, it is a cradle of connection. You're resting on top of a system of infinite support. Just as the trees hold each other up, sending strength to the ones who are weary, imagine that the universe is sending strength to you now. You are plugged into the web. You do not have to generate all your own energy. You can draw it up from the earth, from the air, from the collective peace of the night. You're supported by a lattice of invisible hands, holding you steady as you sleep. Above the trees, the night sky is spread like a map, and looking up at it is one of nature's humblest creatures, solving a mystery of navigation. We look to the dung beetle. It seems an unlikely astronomer, pushing its ball of earth across the savannah. But scientists have discovered that on moonless nights, these beetles can still roll their cargo in a perfect straight line. How? By locking their gaze onto the Milky Way. They are the only insect known to navigate by the galaxy itself. They do not look at individual stars. They see the bright band of light that is the edge of our galaxy, and they use it as a highway line. Think of the beauty of this. A tiny creature, face down in the dirt, guiding its journey by the gathered light of billions of suns. It suggests that the macro and the micro are intimately linked. The largest structure we can see, the Milky Way, is guiding the smallest steps of life on Earth. You too are guided by these great lights. Even when you feel small, even when your task seems heavy, the galaxy is overhead, providing a line of orientation. You're lined up with the stars. Orient yourself now. Align your spine, your breath, your thoughts with that great river of light in the sky. You're walking a straight path. You're not lost. Far away from the savannah, deep in the North Pacific, another creature navigates by a different kind of star, a star of sound. We listened for the 52 Hz whale. Since the late 1980s, hydrophones have tracked a single whale calling out in the deep. But while other blue whales sing at a low, rumbling frequency of 15 to 20 Hz, this whale sings much higher, at 52 Hz. It is a sonic fingerprint that no other whale matches. He has been called the loneliest whale in the world, swimming the oceans for decades, singing a song that perhaps no one else can understand. He travels alone, separate from the pods. But let us reframe this solitude in the sanctuary of sleep. He is not lonely. He is unique. He is the soloist of the sea. His voice carries for hundreds of miles through the water, a distinct, beautiful tenor in a choir of basses. Imagine the peace of that solitude. To swim through the endless blue, completely free, singing your own song, unconcerned with whether it matches the others. The ocean holds his voice just as tenderly as it holds the others. There is space for your unique frequency here. You do not need to harmonize with the noise of the world. You can sing your own quiet note. Let the sound of that 52 Hz hum vibrate in your chest, a slightly higher, clearer vibration that clears away the clutter. You're swimming in the deep, accompanied only by the echo of your own peace. Rising from the depths to the very source of life, we face the blinding mystery of the sun, specifically the coronal heating problem. If you were to stand on the surface of the sun, which is impossible, but come with me in the dream, the temperature is a scorching 5,500 degrees Celsius. But if you were to move away from the surface, up into the sun's wispy atmosphere, the corona, the temperature does not drop. It rises. It skyrockets to millions of degrees. This defies the laws of thermodynamics. It is like walking away from a campfire and feeling the air get hotter the further you go. Science is still hunting for the mechanism, perhaps magnetic waves whipping the atmosphere like microscopic bullwhips. But for us tonight it is a symbol of the warm embrace. The aura of the sun is warmer than its body. Imagine you are wrapped in such an aura. The air around you is charged with a gentle protective warmth, that defies logic. It is a blanket of energy that hovers just above your skin. You're cocooned in a heat that penetrates deep into your muscles, melting the ice of anxiety. It is not a burning heat. It is a radiant golden glow. The universe is hugging you, and the embrace gets warmer the further you let go. Let this impossible warmth seep into your bones. You're held in a halo of comfort. From the intense heat of the sun, we cool down to look at a material that is all around us, yet remains a puzzle of physics: glass. Look at the window in your room. It feels solid. You can tap on it. It is hard. But at the molecular level, glass is confused. It is not a true solid, where atoms are locked into a perfect repeating crystal grid. And it is not a liquid, where atoms flow freely. It is an amorphous solid. It is a liquid that has been paused. When sand is melted and cooled, the atoms try to arrange themselves into a crystal, but the cooling happens so fast that they get trapped in a chaotic, liquid-like arrangement. They are frozen in mid-flow. Glass is a moment of suspended animation. It is a waterfall caught in a photograph. Think of the beauty of this state. It is stability found within chaos. It is the ability to be rigid and strong, yet retain the internal freedom of a liquid. Your mind can be like glass tonight. You can stop the flow of thoughts. You can freeze the chaotic waterfall of the day into a smooth, clear pane of silence. It is not empty. It is just still. It is a transparency that lets the light of the morning shine through, but keeps the wind of the night out. Become transparent. Become still. Become a paused liquid, resting in the window frame of existence. And finally, we look at the fundamental balance of that existence, the mystery of baryon asymmetry. This is the question of why there is something rather than nothing. In the early fires of the Big Bang, matter and antimatter should have been created in equal amounts, but matter and antimatter destroy each other upon contact. If they had been truly equal, they would have annihilated each other instantly, leaving nothing but a burst of light. The universe would be empty, but they were not equal. For every billion particles of antimatter, there were 1,000,000,001 particles of matter. That tiny slight imbalance, that one extra survivor in a billion, is what makes up all the stars, all the galaxies, all the oceans, and you. You are the leftover. You are the winner of the cosmic coin toss. You are made of the matter that survived. This means that existence itself is a victory. The fact that you are here, lying in this bed, breathing this air, is proof that the universe has a preference for life. It has a preference for being. You are not an accident. You are the surplus of creation. Feel the weight of your body on the bed. That weight is a miracle. It is the victory of something over nothing. Let this profound sense of worth settle into you. You belong here. You have fought the great battle of the beginning just by existing. Now the battle is over. The matter has won. The stars have won. You have won. There is nothing left to do but enjoy the prize, the deep, endless, victorious peace of sleep, and woven into that victorious fabric of existence, we find that the threads are not just tangled, but tightened to a precision that defies all reason. We drift now into the mystery of the fine-tuned universe. Imagine you're sitting in the cockpit of a great silent vessel that represents the cosmos. Before you is a control panel with dozens of dials and sliders. These control the fundamental forces, the strength of gravity, the weight of an atom, the speed of light, the charge of an electron. Science tells us that if any one of these dials were turned even a fraction of a degree to the left or right, the stars would not burn, the carbon in your body would not bond, and the oceans would vaporize into mist. The universe is balanced on the razor's edge of perfection. It is as if an unseen hand has calibrated the machinery of reality specifically to allow you to exist. It suggests that this home was made for you. It is not a random container. It is a custom-built cradle. Feel the security of that calibration. The gravity holding you to the bed is exactly strong enough to ground you, but not strong enough to crush you. The air you breathe is the perfect density. You're resting in the centre of a cosmic Goldilocks zone, where the conditions for peace are mathematically perfect. There is no need to adjust anything. The dials are set. The course is locked. The engine of the universe is humming at the perfect pitch to sustain your life and your dreams. You are the intended result of the grand design. From the perfect balance of the physical laws, we look up to the nearest celestial example of this stability, the face of the moon. We consider the mystery of tidal locking. Have you ever wondered why we only see one side of the moon? No matter where you stand on Earth, no matter the season, the man in the moon is always watching, his expression unchanging. The moon spins, yes, but it spins at the exact same speed that it orbits the Earth. It creates a perfect synchronous dance. This was not always so. Eons ago, the moon spun wild and fast, but over millions of years, the Earth's gravity gently applied the brakes, slowing the moon's rotation until it settled into this eternal, face-forward gaze. It is a relationship of total attention. It is a cosmic embrace where the partners never look away from one another. Imagine this locking mechanism as a form of devotion. The universe naturally trends towards stability. It wants to settle. It wants to find a groove and stay there. Your mind is doing the same thing now. Your thoughts may have been spinning wild and fast earlier today, but the gravity of sleep is applying the brakes. You're slowing down. You're syncing up. You're turning your face toward the quiet, locking into a rhythm of rest that will not be broken. You're stable. You're held in a gaze of silver light that never wavers, never blinks, and never leaves you. Under the watchful eye of that stable moon, we turn our gaze to the masts of ships at sea or the wings of planes in the night to witness the electrical phantom known as St. Elmo's fire. For centuries, sailors believed this was a good omen, a sign of the saints protecting them during a storm. Science calls it a coronal discharge, plasma created when the electrical field in the atmosphere is strong. But the description is pure magic. It is not fire. It does not burn. It is a soft blue or violet glow that appears on the tips of pointed objects. Imagine standing on the deck of a ship in a dark, quiet ocean. The air is thick with electric potential. Suddenly the top of the mast blooms with a silent, ghostly flame. It dances and flickers, casting a pale, protective light over the deck. It hisses softly, like a whisper. This is the universe making its energy visible. It is the atmosphere shedding its tension in the form of beauty. Visualize this blue fire on the tips of your fingers or glowing softly at the bedposts. It is a sign that the energy around you is being grounded. The static of the day is transforming into a cool, harmless luminescence. It is a nightlight provided by the laws of physics, a reminder that even in the midst of a storm there is light, there is protection, and there is a soft blue beauty watching over the vessel. As the blue glow fades into the ether, we consider the very particles that make up that light, and a particle even more ghostly, the neutrino. These are the phantoms of the subatomic world. They are born in the heart of the sun, and they stream out into the universe in numbers too vast to count. Every second, trillions of them are passing through your body. But here is the mystery. They do not touch you. To a neutrino, you, the bed, the floor, and the entire Earth are as transparent as a ghost. They pass right through the empty space between your atoms without slowing down, without hitting anything, travelling all the way through the planet and out the other side. You're being showered with stardust right now, but it is a shower that offers no resistance. This teaches us a lesson about permeability. We often feel that we are solid barriers, that we must stop everything that comes our way: stress, noise, worry. But imagine being like the neutrino, or rather, imagine your problems are the neutrinos. Let them pass through you. You do not need to catch them. You do not need to interact with them. You are spacious. You are open. Let the worries of the world stream through your chest and out into the mattress, down into the earth, leaving no trace behind. You are untouched. You are a vessel of open space, allowing the traffic of the universe to flow without creating a single ripple in your piece. And if these particles can pass through mountains, perhaps we can learn the art of passing through barriers ourselves. We drift to the phenomenon of quantum tunneling. In the classical world, the world of tables and chairs, if you roll a ball at a hill and it doesn't have enough energy to go over, it rolls back. It is stopped. But in the quantum world, a particle can approach a barrier, lack the energy to climb it, and yet it simply appears on the other side. It borrows energy from the future. It blurs its own location. It cheats the rules. It tunnels through the wall as if it wasn't there. This is how the sun shines. Without tunneling, hydrogen atoms couldn't fuse. The light of the day is caused by atoms walking through walls. Apply this to your own mind tonight. You may feel like there is a wall between you and sleep, a wall of thoughts, a wall of restlessness. Do not try to climb it. Do not try to smash it. Simply use the quantum method. Blur your edges, soften your focus, and gently, without effort, slip through the wall. Find yourself suddenly on the other side in the land of dreams. You do not need to fight the barrier. You just need to become subtle enough to pass through it. The obstacle is an illusion. The tunnel is open. You're already on the other side. Passing through the walls of our own solar system, we drift out into the deep interstellar dark to float alongside a rogue planet. These are the orphans of the galaxy, planets the size of Jupiter or Earth that have been ejected from their star systems. They do not orbit a sun. They do not have a year. They drift alone through the eternal night of the galaxy. This might sound cold, but imagine the absolute freedom of it. A rogue planet is not beholden to any gravity but its own. It is a world of total autonomy. It retains its internal heat for billions of years, a warm core wrapped in a thick blanket of atmosphere, cruising through the silence. Imagine yourself as this planet. You have detached from the orbit of your daily responsibilities. You're no longer circling the demands of work, family, or time. You have broken free. You're drifting in the cool, quiet void, carried only by your own momentum. You're a sovereign world. You're safe in your own gravity. The silence around you is vast and respectful. There is no alarm clock here, no sunrise to rush you, just the endless, soothing velvet of the journey. Enjoy the solitude. Enjoy the drift. Drifting further, we encounter the strange currents of the universe where the laws of thermodynamics dictate the flow of everything, the arrow of time. Why does time only move forward? Why can you break a glass but never watch the shards leap back together to form a whole? It is the law of entropy, the tendency of the universe to move from order to disorder, from complexity to simplicity. While this sounds like decay, in the context of sleep, it is the ultimate permission to let go. The universe wants to unwind. It takes energy to hold things together, to maintain structure, to keep the glass whole. It takes no energy to let it break, to let it spread out. Sleep is your daily participation in entropy. You're stopping the effort of holding yourself together. You're letting your focus disperse. You're letting your muscles slacken. You're unraveling the tight knot of your consciousness and letting it spread out like a gas filling the room. It is the natural state of things. To relax is to obey the fundamental law of the cosmos. Do not fight to keep the structure. Let the walls come down. Let the glass break. Let the sand castle dissolve into the tide. Go with the arrow, flow toward the simplicity of the unstructured dark. As we flow with time, we dive down from the stars back into the depths of our own oceans to find a mystery that seems to defy the very nature of water, the brine pools. Deep in the Gulf of Mexico, thousands of feet down, there are lakes on the bottom of the ocean. These are depressions filled with water so salty and dense that it does not mix with the seawater above it. It has its own shoreline, its own waves, and its own currents, sitting entirely underwater. Submarines can float on the surface of these underwater lakes. It is a secret world within a world. Imagine descending through the blue ocean, feeling the water against your skin and then coming to rest on the surface of this second, heavier body of water. It is a cushion of incredible support. Visualize your sleep like this. You're sinking out of the air of the day, down into the water of the night, and then, deeper still, you settle into the brine pool of deep sleep. It is thick, heavy, and warm. It holds you up with a buoyancy that makes you feel weightless. You are layered in protection. The ocean is above you. The brine is beneath you. You're sealed away in a sanctuary of density, where nothing can disturb the heavy, slow ripples of your rest. Inside the rocks that border these deep pools, we find the deep biosphere. For a long time, we thought life only existed on the surface, where the sun shines. But we have found bacteria and tiny organisms living miles beneath the ocean floor, inside the solid rock, in the crushing dark, living on chemical energy and heat from the Earth's core. They live in deep time. Their metabolism is so slow that they may divide only once every 1,000 years. They are barely living. They are simply existing, suspended in the stone. They are the monks of the biological world meditating in the rock for eons. Connect with that slowness. Your heart does not need to race. Your mind does not need to sprint. You can slow your internal clock down to the rhythm of the deep biosphere. Imagine your breath taking 100 years to cycle. In for a decade. Out for a decade. You're as stable as the bedrock. You're as patient as the stone. There is no rush. You have all the time in the world to simply be, to exist in the warm, dark embrace of the earth. Finally, we turn our senses to a phenomenon that bridges the gap between the senses themselves. Synesthesia. In most brains, the senses are separate. Sight is sight, sound is sound. But for some, the wires are crossed in a beautiful way. They hear a trumpet and see a flash of orange triangles. They taste a strawberry and feel the texture of velvet. They read the number 5 and see the colour emerald green. It implies that the boundaries we place on reality are artificial. The world is not chopped up into neat categories. It is a blend, a soup of sensation. As you drift towards sleep, let your own senses blend. Let the sound of my voice become a colour, perhaps a deep, warm violet wrapping around your shoulders. Let the feeling of the blanket become a sound, a low, steady hum like a cello. Let the darkness of the room become a taste, sweet, cool, like dark water. Dissolve the lines. You're not seeing or hearing or feeling. You're simply experiencing the wash of the universe. It is all one thing. The colour is the sound is the feeling is the sleep. Let it all swirl together into a single harmonious masterpiece of rest, painting your dreams with the colours of silence and the textures of peace. And from that swirling masterpiece of blended senses, where sound becomes colour and feeling becomes light, we drift on a current of orange and gold toward the high-altitude forests of central Mexico. We settle into the branches of the Oyamel fir trees to witness the miracle of the monarch migration. This is not just a journey of distance. It is a journey of time manipulation that biology cannot fully explain. Most butterflies live only a few weeks, flitting briefly through the summer. But the generation of monarchs born in late summer is different. They are the Methuselah generation. A mysterious genetic switch flips within them, pausing their aging process and granting them a lifespan of months, specifically so they can endure the long migration and the winter's sleep. Imagine the trees around you, draped in millions of sleeping butterflies. They cluster together so thickly that the green branches disappear, replaced by a living, breathing tapestry of burnt orange and black. They hang in heavy, dormant festoons, weighing down the boughs, sharing their warmth against the mountain chill. Visualize yourself as part of this cluster. You have entered a state of suspended animation. You have turned off the clock of aging. The biological demands of time have no hold on you here. You're simply waiting, held in the collective embrace of your kin, insulated from the cold world by the warmth of togetherness. The wind may blow through the fir trees, rocking the branches gently, but you do not let go. You are anchored by instinct, preserving your energy, waiting for the spring sun to wake you. It is a hibernation of the soul, a pause button pressed by nature itself to ensure your survival. From the suspended stillness of the butterflies, we flow into a state of matter that defies the friction of the physical world. We enter the laboratory of the ultra-cold to observe superfluids. When helium is cooled down to near absolute zero, it undergoes a transformation that looks like magic. It becomes a liquid with zero viscosity. It has no friction. It has no resistance. If you were to stir a cup of coffee made of superfluid and then walked away, it would continue to spin forever. It would never slow down because there is nothing to steal its energy. But stranger still, this liquid can climb walls. It forms a thin film that creeps up the sides of its container, defying gravity, escaping the cup to flow out into the world. It seeks its own level with a relentless, effortless freedom. Imagine your mind entering this state of zero viscosity. Usually our thoughts encounter friction, worry, doubt, hesitation. But tonight your consciousness is a superfluid. It flows without resistance. It climbs over the walls of your stress and spills out into the open, calm expanse of the universe. There is no drag on your spirit. You're moving with perpetual ease. You can slide through the tiniest cracks in the darkness to find the light. You are slippery, smooth, and unstoppable in your quest for peace. Let the feeling of frictionless flow wash over you, coating your nerves in a cool, soothing balm that allows everything to glide past without sticking. As we flow without friction, we drift into a concept that removes the friction of time itself. We contemplate the block universe theory. Our common sense tells us that the past is gone, the future is unwritten, and only the now is real. But the equations of physics, from Einstein to modern quantum mechanics, suggest something far more solid. They suggest that time is like a landscape. The past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously, laid out like a giant block of ice or a reel of film. Imagine you're hiking through a valley. The trail behind you, the past, hasn't disappeared. It is just down the hill. The trail ahead of you, the future, is already there, waiting for you to walk it. You just can't see around the bend yet. This means that every happy moment you have ever lived is still happening, preserved forever in the coordinate points of space-time, and every peaceful morning you will ever wake up to is already waiting for you, solid and sure. This is the ultimate reassurance. You do not need to fear the passage of time. You're not losing moments, you're simply traversing them. Visualize your life as a beautiful, completed painting. You're currently looking at one brushstroke, but the whole canvas is safe. Tonight, you can step back from the timeline, you can float above the block, see your sleep tonight as a fixed, permanent sanctuary in the architecture of the universe. It is already written that you will rest. The peace is already there, waiting for you to arrive. From the solid landscape of time, we descend into a specific mysterious valley in Norway, the Valley of Hestdalen. For decades, the residents here have watched the Hestdalen lights. These are not stars, and they are not planes. They are silent, glowing orbs of yellow, white, or red that appear in the valley air. Sometimes they float gently for hours. Sometimes they streak across the sky with impossible speed. Unlike ball lightning, which is rare and fleeting, these lights are frequent visitors. Science has studied them with radar and spectral analysis, finding they consist of plasma, but the source remains hidden. One theory suggests the valley itself is a giant natural battery. The metallic minerals in the mountains on one side and the sulfur in the river on the other create a charge, using the valley air as a conductor. The earth is literally sparking with energy. Imagine the valley at night, snow-covered, silent, and cold. And then, a warm, golden light blooms in the centre of the air, hovering over the treetops. It is a lantern lit by the geology of the planet. It is a sign that the earth is alive with power, but it is a power that creates beauty, not destruction. Let this image be a comfort. Even in the cold, dark valleys of life, there is a natural capacity for illumination. The energy you need is stored in the very ground beneath you. Watch the light hover, pulsing slowly, a guardian spirit of the valley watching over the sleeping world. Leaving the Valley of Lights, we drift into the microscopic sea of the atomic nucleus, searching for a mythical shore known as the Island of Stability. In the periodic table, as elements get heavier, they become more unstable. They decay in fractions of a second, unable to hold themselves together against the repulsive forces of their own protons. It is a chaotic, radioactive sea. But nuclear physicists predict that further out, past the known elements, there exists a magic combination of protons and neutrons, a specific heavy number, where the nucleus would suddenly become stable again. It would not fall apart. It would last for minutes, days, or perhaps millions of years. It is a theoretical island of calm in a storm of decay. We have not reached it yet, but we know it is there. It represents the hope of finding balance in the midst of heaviness. Imagine you are sailing through a choppy sea of heavy thoughts. The waves are high, the water is turbulent, but ahead, through the mist, you see it. The island, a calm white beach where the waves stop. This is your destination tonight. No matter how heavy your day has been, no matter how unstable the world feels, there is a configuration of mind that is perfectly stable. You are sailing toward it. You are almost there. Feel the keel of your boat slide onto the sand. The rocking stops. You have found the stable ground. On this stable ground, we find life adapting in mysterious ways. We travel to the shimmering heat of the African savanna to look at the zebra, a horse in striped pajamas. For centuries, we thought the stripes were for camouflage in the tall grass, or to confuse predators. But a new fascinating theory has emerged from the physics of airflow. The stripes are a cooling system. The black stripes absorb heat, and the white stripes reflect it. This temperature difference creates tiny, microscopic air currents right along the zebra's skin. Little rotating winds that cool the animal down. The zebra is wearing its own air conditioning. It uses the contrast of light and dark to create comfort. There is a lesson here for the weary mind. Life is a series of contrasts, day and night, activity and rest, joy and sorrow. Like the zebra, we can use these contrasts to cool ourselves. We need the dark stripes of sleep to balance the white stripes of action. Imagine those tiny, cooling breezes circulating over your skin now. The interplay of the darkness of the room and the warmth of the bed is creating a perfect microclimate for you. You are wrapped in a pattern of protection. The confusion of the world cannot land on you here. It slides off the shimmering, vibrating lines of your deep relaxation. From the vibrating air of the savannah, we tune our ears to the vibrating air of the cosmos. We listen for the fast radio bursts. These are the whistles of the universe. They are incredibly powerful blasts of radio energy, releasing as much energy in a millisecond as the sun does in 3 days, coming from billions of light years away. They appear, they scream across the spectrum, and they vanish. For a long time we thought they were random cataclysms, stars exploding. But recently we found some that repeat. One source sends a burst every 16 days like clockwork. It is a heartbeat, a metronome ticking in the deep dark. Science suspects they might come from magnetars, neutron stars with terrifyingly strong magnetic fields, starquakes that ring the bell of the cosmos. But in the quiet of the night, let us hear them as the distant lighthouses of the galaxy. They are the signals that the universe is still turning, still working, even while we sleep. You're not responsible for keeping the world spinning. The great engines of the sky are doing it for you. Flash, silence. Flash, silence. Let the regularity of that cosmic cycle lull you. It is a rhythm far slower and deeper than your own heart, a bass note that underpins reality. You can rest your head on that rhythm. And what are these stars made of? We drift from the radio bursts to the glimmer of the ring on your finger, to the mystery of the origin of gold. For a long time, alchemists tried to make gold, and physicists tried to explain it. Standard fusion in a star can make oxygen, carbon, and iron, but iron is the death knell of a star. It cannot fuse further to create heavier things like gold. So where did the gold come from? It came from the most violent and beautiful embrace in the universe, a kilonova. This is the collision of two neutron stars, dead cores of ancient suns, incredibly dense, spiraling toward each other until they merge. In that cataclysmic splash, the universe is flooded with neutrons, and in seconds, atoms are forged into gold, platinum and silver, which are then sprayed out across the galaxy. This means the gold you wear, the gold in the Earth, is not just metal. It is the debris of a stellar romance. It is the wreckage of a cosmic collision that happened before the Earth was born. You're wearing the remnants of dead stars. Feel the weight of that preciousness. You're made of materials that required the death of suns to create. You are rare. You are dense with history. Let that heavy, golden feeling sink into your limbs. Your precious cargo, drifting through the night, golden and heavy and safe. From the heavy metals of the stars, we return to the delicate green sensitivity of the Earth. We touch the leaves of the Mimosa pudica, the sensitive plant. If you brush your finger against its fern-like leaves, they instantly fold up, closing like a book, and the stem droops. It is a plant that behaves like an animal. It shies away from touch, but the mystery deepens. Scientists have found that these plants can learn. If you drop them gently, they close in panic. But if you drop them again and again without hurting them, they eventually stop closing. They realize the drop is harmless. They remember this safety for weeks, even though they have no brain, no neurons, no central nervous system. Where is the memory stored? How does a plant know it is safe? It suggests that awareness is not just a property of the brain, but a property of life itself. The cells remember. The water in the stem remembers. Imagine your own body possessing this innate intelligence. You do not need to think yourself into safety. Your cells know when you're in a safe place. Your muscles know when the threat is gone. Like the mimosa learning that the fall is harmless, your body knows that letting go into sleep is safe. You can stop flinching. You can stop folding up, unfurl your leaves, open yourself to the dark. The drop into sleep is not a fall. It is a gentle landing. Finally, we surrender to the ultimate pull, drifting toward the gravitational heart of our local universe, the Great Attractor. We know that the Earth orbits the Sun, and the Sun orbits the centre of the Milky Way. But the Milky Way itself, along with thousands of other galaxies, is moving. We're all flowing at a tremendous speed toward a specific point in the sky, hidden behind the dust of our own galaxy. We cannot see what is there. We call it the Great Attractor. It is a gravitational anomaly of immense power, the centre of a supercluster of galaxies called Laniakea, which means immeasurable heaven in Hawaiian. We're not drifting aimlessly. We're being pulled home. We're moving toward a gathering place of giants. There is something incredibly comforting about this. We're not lost in the void. We're on a trajectory. There is a centre. There is a destination. Just as the river flows to the sea, our galaxy flows toward this great unseen basin of gravity. Give in to that pull. Feel it not as a force of speed, but as a force of belonging. You're being held in the arms of a gravity so vast it encompasses millions of light years. You're going exactly where you're meant to go. The universe is carrying you. The immeasurable heaven is waiting. Let go of the steering wheel. Let the gravity of the Great Attractor take you down and down and down into the centre of the deep, velvety, gravitational sleep. And held within that immeasurable gravitational embrace, we allow our senses to drift from the feeling of the pull to the sensation of sound, tuning our ears to the northern skies for the mystery of auroral acoustics. For centuries, Inuit tribes and northern travellers whispered of a secret. The northern lights do not just dance, they sing. They described a sound like silk rustling against silk, or a faint static hiss, or the crackle of dry leaves being crushed by a giant hand. For a long time, science dismissed this. The aurora borealis happens nearly 100 miles up in the ionosphere, in the near vacuum of space. Sound cannot travel through a vacuum, and even if it could, it would take minutes for the noise of the solar wind colliding with the atmosphere to reach the ground. The lights should be silent, but the reports persisted, and recently microphones have confirmed it. Under certain conditions, when the air is still and the cold forms an inversion layer, trapping the sound near the ground, the lights do indeed speak. Imagine standing on a frozen lake, wrapped in heavy furs. The sky above you is a cathedral of green and violet fire, undulating in the dark. And then you hear it, a soft electric whisper right next to your ear. It is the sound of the sun interacting with the earth, a cosmic conversation turned into a terrestrial lullaby. It implies that the display is not distant, it is intimate. The energy of the stars is brushing against the very air you breathe. Let that phantom sound soothe you now. A white noise made of pure light, a static hush that quiets the mind and covers the silence with a blanket of celestial presence. From the singing lights of the north we drift outward again, past the silence of the moon, to the majestic golden lord of the rings, Saturn. But we're not looking at the rings as a solid monument. We are witnessing the mystery of ring rain. We used to think Saturn's rings were eternal, a permanent halo of ice and rock. But we now know they are vanishing. Gravity is pulling the rings down. The ice crystals are being charged by the sun, caught in Saturn's magnetic field, and pulled into the planet's atmosphere as a dusty, icy rain. It is a torrential downpour of history. Every second, enough water to fill an Olympic swimming pool rains down from the rings onto the planet. It is a slow, beautiful dissolution. The rings are sacrificing themselves to feed the giant. Visualize this process. It is a reminder of the beauty of impermanence. Nothing stays the same forever, and that is okay. Even the most magnificent structures in the heavens are fluid, changing and flowing. Imagine you are a single crystal of ice in those rings. You have floated in the void for eons, and now you are letting go. You are falling, soft and slow, joining the great body of the planet. You're becoming part of something larger. Let the tension in your own body dissolve just like the rings. You're melting into the mattress. You're raining down into the depths of sleep, abandoning the rigid shape of the day to become fluid and deep. As we drift further past the dissolving rings, we travel to the very edge of the observable map, scanning the background heat of the universe for a patch of strangeness known as the CMB cold spot. The universe, as we recall, should be the same temperature everywhere, a warm, uniform bath. But in the direction of the constellation Eridanus, there is a hole. There is a massive region, 1 billion light-years across, that is significantly colder than everything around it. It is a supervoid, a place where there are fewer stars, fewer galaxies, less matter and less energy. It is a giant, cool pillow in the middle of the cosmic fire. Some physicists have whispered a breathtaking theory. Perhaps this cold spot is a bruise. Perhaps it is the evidence of a collision between our universe and another bubble universe, bumping against us in the dark ocean of the multiverse. But for us tonight, let it be a place of relief. Imagine the universe is a warm room, and this spot is the cool side of the pillow. It is a place to rest your head. It is a place where the activity of existence slows down to a near halt. Float into this void. The heat of your worries is sucked away by the vast, chilly emptiness. You are cooling down. You're entering a zone of absolute neutrality, a cosmic oasis where there is nothing to do, nothing to be, just a vast, cool, blue quiet stretching on forever. From the largest structure in the universe, we spiral down, zooming in, past the galaxies, past the stars, down to the damp, dark floor of an ancient forest, to observe the genius of the slime mould. This bright yellow gelatinous blob, Physarum polycephalum, has no brain. It has no neurons. It has no central nervous system. It is just a single, giant cell containing millions of nuclei. And yet, it thinks. If you place a slime mould in a maze with food at the end, it will explore every path, dead ends included. But then it does something miraculous. It retracts its body from the empty paths and thickens its connection to the food, leaving behind the most efficient route possible. Japanese researchers once arranged oat flakes in the pattern of Tokyo and its surrounding cities. They released the slime mould. Within hours, the mould had recreated the Tokyo railway system, a network that took human engineers years to design, perfectly optimizing the connections. How does a blob of jelly solve complex mathematical problems without a mind? It suggests that intelligence is not just in the head, it is in the very substance of life. It is in the flow. The mould thinks by feeling, by expanding and contracting. Trust in your own body's ability to solve problems tonight without your conscious mind. You do not need to overthink. You can turn off your brain and let your biology take over. Your body knows how to find the path to sleep. It knows the most efficient route to restoration. Retract your energy from the dead ends of the day. Flow toward the rest. You're being guided by an ancient, mindless, perfect wisdom. As the slime mould pulses on the forest floor, we look up to the canopy and witness a cycle that connects the fungus to the clouds. The theory of bioprecipitation. We often think of rain as a purely physical process. Water evaporates, cools, and falls. But water vapour needs a particle to cling to, a nucleus, to freeze into a raindrop or a snowflake. Dust can do this, but biological particles are far better at it. Mushrooms and fungi release billions of spores into the air. These spores float up on the wind, rising high into the atmosphere. Because of their unique structure, they are the perfect seeds for rain. They gather the water vapour, freeze it into heavy drops, and fall back to earth as rain, which in turn waters the mushrooms. It is a breathing loop. The earth sends up a seed, and the sky sends down a drink. Imagine the air around you is filled with this benevolent biology. The rain is not an accident. It is a response. It is the sky answering the call of the forest. Feel the interconnectedness of this cycle. You are part of a system that nurtures itself. Every breath you take out is a seed. Every breath you take in is the rain. You're woven into a weather system of comfort, where your needs create the very conditions that satisfy them. Riding the updrafts past the spore clouds, we aim our trajectory higher, attempting to leave the planet entirely. We accompany a spacecraft, perhaps the Galileo or the Cassini probe, as it swings around the Earth to pick up speed. This is the gravity assist maneuver, but here we encounter the flyby anomaly. When spacecraft swing by the Earth to steal a bit of momentum, they sometimes leave with more speed than our physics predicts. It is a tiny amount, a fraction of an inch per second, but it is there. It is a ghostly boost, a mysterious tailwind. Is it the rotation of the Earth dragging the fabric of space-time? Is it a misunderstanding of gravity itself, or is the planet giving the traveller a parting gift? Imagine you are that traveller. You're swinging past the heavy gravity of your waking life, using it to slingshot yourself into the dark. And as you let go, you feel that extra push, the flyby anomaly. You're moving faster and easier than you should be. The friction is gone, and a mysterious energy is carrying you away from the shore. You're gaining distance with zero effort. The heavy gravity of the day is behind you now, and you're accelerating into the smooth, silent drift of the deep cosmos, pushed by a force you do not need to explain to enjoy. As we drift in that deep space, we experience the fading of consciousness, bringing us to the medical mystery of anesthesia. Every day, thousands of people are put under for surgery. They inhale a gas or receive an injection, and they vanish. They do not just sleep, they disconnect. The lights of the house are turned off at the main breaker, and yet, after nearly 2 centuries of using it, science still does not know exactly how anesthesia works. We know it interacts with proteins in the brain, or perhaps alters the quantum vibration of microtubules, but the precise mechanism of how it steals the self remains a black box. It is a humbling fact. We can turn consciousness off and on, but we do not know what consciousness is. But in the context of sleep, This is a comforting surrender. It means the off switch is a natural, accessible part of your biology. You possess the chemistry of oblivion within you. You do not need a doctor to find the dark. Imagine the neural pathways of your brain, usually sparking with electricity, gently dimming. The signal is softening. The chaotic chatter of neurons is being bathed in a calm, quieting fluid. You're approaching the threshold of the great disconnect. It is safe to go there. The body remembers how to wake up. For now, trust the mystery of the pause. Trust the fade. While our consciousness quiets down, the planet beneath us is doing something dynamic and deep. We turn our mind's eye to the center of the Earth, to the mystery of inner core rotation. We live on the crust, a thin shell of rock. Miles below us is the mantle, and below that, the liquid outer core. But suspended in the center of that liquid fire is the inner core, a solid ball of iron the size of Pluto. For a long time we thought it spun in lockstep with the rest of the planet. But seismic waves travelling through the Earth suggest something stranger. The core spins at its own speed. Sometimes it spins faster than the crust, a phenomenon called superrotation. Sometimes it slows down. Recent evidence suggests it might even pause and reverse. Think of it. The heart of the world is dancing to its own rhythm, separate from the surface. While the surface is frantic with weather and cities and noise, the core is doing its own heavy solitary spin in the dark. You have an inner core too, deep beneath the surface layers of your personality, your worries and your daily tasks. There is a solid centre that is independent of the chaos. It spins at its own slow, majestic pace. It is untouched by the weather of your life. Sink down into that core now. Ignore the surface crust. Go to the centre. Feel the heavy iron stability of your own being, spinning slowly, reversing, pausing, finding its own time in the deep, protected dark. Rising from the core, the magnetic field pierces through the crust and reaches out to our neighbour, the moon, where it encounters the beautiful riddle of the lunar swirls. The moon is dead geologically. It has no global magnetic field to protect it from the sun, and yet, scattered across its grey surface are bright pale markings, swirls, ribbons and loops of white regolith that look like abstract tattoos. The most famous is Rhina Gamma, a shape like a hooded tadpole. These swirls are magnetic anomalies. Small localized bubbles of magnetism exist right over these patterns. These mini-fields act as umbrellas, deflecting the solar wind. The solar wind darkens the moon dust over billions of years, but under the magnetic umbrella the dust stays fresh and white. The swirls are the untanned skin of the moon. Imagine having these protective swirls over your own mind. Visualize a bright, pale ribbon of energy looping over you. It is a shield. The harsh wind of stress, the radiation of worry, it is all deflected by this mysterious magnetism. Under the shield, your mind remains pristine, bright, and untouched. You're marked by protection. You're safe under the umbrella of the swirl, preserving your peace against the erosion of the outside world. Finally, we look back through the deep tunnel of time, past the moon, past the dinosaurs, to the most dramatic mystery in the fossil record, the Cambrian explosion. For billions of years, life on Earth was simple, microscopic, single-celled, slow. The boring billion, scientists call it. And then, in a geological blink of an eye, everything changed. Suddenly complex life burst forth in a riot of forms: eyes, legs, shells, tentacles, spines. All the major body plans of animals appeared at once. It was a biological Big Bang. It was as if the Earth suddenly woke up and decided to dream in high definition. Why did it happen then? Was it oxygen? Was it a genetic breakthrough? We don't know. But it reminds us that life is not always a slow, difficult climb. Sometimes it is a sudden blossoming. Sometimes change comes in a rush of creativity. And tonight, as you sleep, you are entering your own Cambrian chamber. Sleep is not an empty time. It is a time of explosive restoration. In the quiet dark, Your cells are blooming with repair. Your memories are organizing into complex structures. You're undergoing a silent explosion of healing. You went into the dark, simple and tired, but you will wake up complex and renewed. Trust in the sudden power of the shift. Let the boring billion of your day give way to the creative explosion of your dreams. Life finds a way to flourish in the dark, and so will you. And emerging from that ancient, explosive creativity of the Cambrian, we find ourselves standing at the very blurred boundary of what it means to be alive at all. We drift into the microscopic twilight zone to contemplate the existence of the virus. To a biologist, these entities are a profound riddle. They do not eat, they do not breathe, they cannot reproduce on their own. If you leave a virus on a table, it does not move or grow. It sits there, perfectly still, often forming a crystal. It is as geometric and inert as a grain of salt or a diamond. But the moment it touches a living cell, it wakes up. It unlocks the machinery of life and begins to dance. This places them in a ghostly category. Are they complex chemicals, or are they simple life forms? They exist in the grey dawn between the stone and the flesh. Imagine the beauty of this suspended state. They are like the sleeping beauty of the biological world, waiting in a crystalline slumber for the kiss of a host. Think of your own moments of stillness. When you're deep in sleep, you're not engaging with the world. You're not eating or speaking. To an observer, you're just a silent form, but the potential for life is there, coiled and waiting. You are oscillating between the static piece of a stone and the dynamic energy of a storm. Allow yourself to rest in that crystal state. You do not need to be on right now. You do not need to be active to be valid. You can simply be a beautiful, silent geometry, waiting for the morning to reanimate you. From the microscopic heat of biological activation, we pull back to look at the macroscopic heat of our early planet, encountering the faint young sun paradox. Travel back in your mind 4 billion years. The Earth is newborn, covered in vast liquid oceans. Life is just beginning to stir in the thermal vents. But there is a problem. The sun, in its infancy, was much smaller and dimmer than it is today. It shone with only 70% of its current brightness. According to our climate models, under such a weak sun, the Earth should have been a frozen ball of white ice. The oceans should have been solid rock, and yet, the geological record shows liquid water and a warm, inviting climate. How did the Earth stay warm under a cold star? Was the atmosphere thick with a mystery greenhouse gas? Was the planet wrapped in a blanket of ammonia or methane that we can no longer detect? Visualize the Earth swaddled in this invisible insulating layer. It is a cosmic comforter. Even when the source of a light was weak, the planet found a way to hold on to its heat. It nurtured itself. Feel that sensation of being insulated. Even if the world outside feels cold or dim, you possess an internal atmosphere that keeps you warm. You're wrapped in layers of resilience and mystery that trap the warmth of your own spirit. You're a cradle of warmth in a cold sky, protected by an invisible ancient blanket that ensures you do not freeze, but instead flow like the early seas. As we look out from that warm cradle into the outer reaches of our solar neighbourhood, we sense a presence in the dark that we cannot see. We are hunting for Planet 9. Astronomers have noticed that the icy objects in the scattered disk beyond Pluto are not moving randomly. They are clustering. They are looping in strange, elongated orbits, as if they are being herded by a shepherd. Mathematical models suggest there is a ghost planet out there, a world 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth, drifting in the deep freeze, hundreds of times further from the sun than we are. It is too dark to see with our telescopes, yet its gravity is felt. It is a heavy, silent hand guiding the flock of the outer solar system. Imagine this giant, dark world. It has no day, it has no summer. It is a planet of eternal night, sailing through the void in total silence. And yet, it has influence. It matters. It shapes the paths of others without ever being seen. This is the power of the quiet presence. You do not need to be loud or visible to have gravity. You can remain in the background, in the shadows, and still hold the world together. Sink into that heavy invisible power. You are the planet 9 of your own universe tonight. Unseen, silent, but possessing a gravitational peace that brings order to everything around you. Drifting inward from the cold ghost planet, we approach the king of the planets, Jupiter, and find it burning with a mystery, the energy crisis. Jupiter is a gas giant far from the Sun. It receives very little solar heat, and yet its upper atmosphere is scorching hot, hundreds of degrees hotter than it should be. For decades, scientists were baffled. What is heating the giant? Recent discoveries point to the Great Red Spot. That eternal storm which has raged for centuries is not just a surface feature, it is a sonic cannon. The turbulence of the storm generates massive acoustic waves, sound waves, that crash upward into the atmosphere. When they break like waves on a beach, they release heat. Jupiter is heating itself with the sound of its own storms. Imagine the sheer power of this. The chaos of the storm is being transmuted into the warmth of the sky. The turbulence is not wasted, it is fuel. Apply this to the storms in your own mind. The stress, the noise, the spinning thoughts of the day. Imagine them rising up, higher and higher, away from your center. As they rise, they break and dissolve, turning into a gentle, radiant heat that warms your spirit. You're alchemizing your own noise. You're turning the crash of the day into the warmth of the night. Illuminated by that atmospheric heat, we turn our eyes back toward Earth, but we stop just before dawn to witness the zodiacal light. In the darkest hours, just before the sun begins to rise or just after it sets, a faint triangular glow appears on the horizon. It looks like a pyramid of pearly white light stretching up into the sky. For centuries, poets called it the false dawn. It is not the sun. It is a disk of cosmic dust, trillions of tiny particles left over from comets and colliding asteroids, orbiting the sun in the same plane as the Earth. The sunlight reflects off this dust, creating a ghostly ethereal halo around our solar system. We are floating in a sea of diamond dust. Visualize this soft, diffuse light. It is much gentler than the sun. It does not demand that you wake up, it simply glows with a promise. It is the nightlight of the solar system. Imagine breathing in that dust, not as dirt but as crushed starlight. It fills the air with a soft, milky luminescence. You're not surrounded by empty space, but by a glittering fog of history. Let the zodiacal light be your blanket. It is a soft, triangular tent of safety pitched over the horizon, keeping the absolute dark at bay while you rest. Through this dusty haze, a strange visitor tumbles silently past us. We recall the mystery of Oumuamua. In 2017, it swept through our solar system, the first interstellar object we have ever detected. It was not a round planet or a jagged rock. It was shaped like a long, thin cigar, or perhaps a flat pancake, dark red and tumbling end over end. It moved with a grace that physics struggled to explain. As it left the solar system, it accelerated. It didn't just coast, it pushed off, moving faster than gravity alone would allow. Was it outgassing hydrogen? Was it a light sail? We may never know. It came from the deep unknown, visited us for a brief moment, and returned to the deep unknown. There is a freedom in this traveller. It is not bound to any star. It is not stuck in any orbit. It is a nomad of the infinite. Imagine detaching yourself from your own orbit tonight. You're usually circling your tasks, your routine, your identity. But for the next few hours, be like Oumuamua. Cut the tether. Drift freely. Tumble slowly through the velvet dark, passing through the system but not belonging to it. You're just passing through the night. You're unattached, weightless, and accelerating gently toward a quiet destination that only you know. As the interstellar traveller fades into the black, we look closer at the darkness of our own planet's forests, revealing a secret hidden in the fur of the night. We contemplate biofluorescence in mammals. We have long known that jellyfish and bugs glow, but recently researchers shone ultraviolet light on a platypus in the dark. To their shock, the brown fur glowed a vivid, magical cyan and green. They tested others. The wombat glows. The flying squirrel glows a bubblegum pink. The spring hare glows patchy orange. The night is filled with secret colours that our human eyes cannot see. The animals are painting themselves with light, signalling to each other in a spectrum we are blind to. This suggests that the world is far more beautiful and vibrant than you can perceive. Even in the pitch dark, there is colour. Even when things look drab and brown-grey, they are actually radiating neon brilliance. Imagine your own body having this secret layer of light. In the dark of your room, you're not just a shadow. If seen with the right eyes, you're glowing with a soft, protective aura. Perhaps a deep, calming indigo or a warm, radiant amber. You're a creature of light, hidden in the dark. Wrap yourself in this secret glow. It is your personal magic, unseen by the world, pulsing gently on your skin. From the glowing fur of the forest, we descend to the open prairies of Washington State, to a landscape that looks like a braille message written by the earth itself. The Mima Mounds. Stretching for acres, the ground is covered in uniform bubble-like bumps. They are 6 feet tall, perfectly round, and spaced evenly apart. Walk through them in your mind. It is like walking through a field of green waves that have been frozen in place. Who built them? Did pocket gophers build them over centuries? Did seismic vibrations shake the loose soil into piles, like sand on a vibrating speaker? Did ancient glaciers leave them behind? The mystery is their order. Nature usually loves chaos, but here it has created a perfect pattern. It is a landscape of rhythm. Up and down, up and down. Lie down in the valley between two of these mounds. It is a cradle of grass. The earth has risen up to protect you on all sides. It is a natural acoustic dampener. The wind blows over the tops of the mounds, but down here in the hollow, the air is still. You are resting in the texture of the earth. Let the mystery of their origin fade. Simply enjoy the comfort of their shape. You're tucked into the pockets of the planet. As we lie in the geometric cradle of the earth, we ponder the code that describes those shapes, drifting into the mystery of the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. Why does the universe obey equations? We invent numbers in our heads, abstract scratches on paper, and yet those numbers perfectly describe the spiral of a galaxy, the fall of an apple, and the vibration of a violin string. Einstein wondered at this. Wigner called it a miracle. It seems that the universe is not made of matter, but of music. It is made of harmonies and ratios. The physical world is just the shadow cast by a beautiful, invisible song of logic. This is a deeply relaxing truth. It means the chaos of your life is an illusion. Underlying everything, there is a grid, a structure, a perfect order. You're not falling through a random void. You're sliding down the smooth curves of a mathematical fabric. You're supported by the logic of existence. Visualize this logic as a golden grid of light, supporting your back, supporting the bed, supporting the room. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. The equation balances. You are the solution to the problem. You fit perfectly into the geometry of the night. Finally, we zoom in, past the mounds, past the molecules, past the atoms, into the spinning heart of the proton to face the proton spin crisis. We know that protons are the building blocks of every atom in your body. We know they spin. For a long time, we thought this spin came from the 3 smaller particles, quarks, inside them. But when we measured it, the math didn't add up. The quarks only account for a tiny fraction of the spin. The rest of the spin comes from nowhere. It comes from the sea of virtual particles, the gluons, the empty space bubbling inside the proton. The momentum is emerging from the void. This means that at the core of your being, in the center of every atom that makes you you, there is a mysterious self-generating dance. You're spinning with an energy that cannot be pinned down. You are powered by the unknown. Imagine this inner rotation, trillions of tiny tops spinning in the dark, keeping you solid, keeping you real. You do not have to wind them up. You do not have to maintain them. The mystery sustains you. The emptiness inside you is not empty. It is full of motion, full of life, full of the momentum that carries you through the universe. Rest now, supported by the infinite spinning mystery of your own substance. And carrying that momentum of the spinning proton, we drift outward from the subatomic to the astronomical, finding ourselves in the chaotic, tumbling orbit of one of Saturn's strangest moons, Hyperion. Most moons, like our own, are polite and predictable. They are tidally locked, keeping one face toward their parent planet, or they spin with a steady rhythmic axis. They know which way is north, they know which way is up, but Hyperion is different. It is shaped like a giant porous sponge or a potato battered by the ages. And because of its strange shape and the gravitational tug-of-war between Saturn and the massive moon Titan, Hyperion has no fixed rotation. It tumbles, it wobbles. If you lived on Hyperion, you would never know when the sun would rise, or where it would rise from. The North Pole might be the South Pole tomorrow. It is a world of chaotic rotation, completely surrendering to the forces around it. While chaos usually implies stress, here in the deep gravity well of Saturn, let us view it as the ultimate release of control. Imagine the freedom of not needing to have an orientation. You do not need to know which way is up. You do not need to stand tall or keep your balance. You can tumble, you can roll, you can let the currents of the universe flip you over and over in a slow, weightless somersault. There is no right way to lie in bed. There is no correct position for your thoughts. Be like Hyperion. Let go of the need for direction. Let go of the compass. Allow yourself to drift in a state of beautiful, sponge-like unpredictability, floating in the dark, turning slowly to show every side of yourself to the healing silence of space. As we tumble softly through the vacuum, we are suddenly pierced by a mystery moving at the speed of light, a microscopic traveller known as the Oh My God particle. In 1991, a detector in Utah spotted a cosmic ray, a single proton, hitting the atmosphere with shocking power. Usually subatomic particles are like dust motes, but this single particle had the kinetic energy of a baseball thrown at 60 miles an hour. It was travelling so close to the speed of light that if you raced it to the nearest star, it would win by only the width of a hair. Science calls them ultra-high energy cosmic rays. The mystery is, nothing in our galaxy is powerful enough to launch them. Not a supernova, not a black hole. They're coming from somewhere else, from some colossal invisible engine in the deep universe, millions of light years away. Imagine this particle not as a bullet, but as a drop of pure energy. The universe is raining power down upon us. Most of it is soft, but occasionally there is a heavy drop, a reminder of the immense scale of the cosmos. Think of this energy passing through the roof, through the walls, harmlessly dispersing into the ground. It is a connection to the extragalactic. You are sleeping under a sky that is active, powerful, and mysterious. Even when the night seems still, the air is filled with these invisible messengers, carrying the momentum of distant galaxies, threading the needle of your reality with the energy of the impossible. From the flash of the invisible particle, we turn our telescope to a dimming light in the constellation Cygnus. We stare at the baffling behaviour of Tabby's star. For years, the Kepler telescope watched this star, expecting the regular tiny dips of light caused by planets passing in front of it. Instead, it saw chaos. Massive, irregular shadows blocked the star, sometimes dimming it by 20%, lasting for days or weeks. Dust doesn't behave this way. Comets don't behave this way. The shadows are too big, too complex. This led astronomers to whisper a theory that belongs in science fiction: an alien megastructure, a Dyson swarm. Imagine a civilization so advanced that they are building a shell of solar panels and habitats around their star to capture its energy. They are slowly wrapping their sun in a blanket of technology. Whether it is dust or a megastructure, the image is one of profound nesting. Imagine the star as being tucked in. Massive silent panels are sliding into place, dimming the bright lights, creating shade, creating privacy. The universe is closing the blinds. Visualize the light of your own mind as this star. It is time to construct the sphere around it. Slide the panels of sleep into place. Block the glare. Dim the output. You are building a sanctuary around your own consciousness, capturing your energy, keeping it inside, safe and warm within the shell of your rest. In the dim, filtered light of that distant sun, we look down at a body of water that defies the rules of liquid, exploring the mystery of the fourth phase of water. We learn in school that water has three phases: solid ice, liquid water, and vapor. But researchers have discovered that when water touches a water-loving surface, like the proteins in your cells, it transforms. It creates an exclusion zone, or EZ water. In this zone, the water molecules line up in a perfect hexagonal honeycomb structure. They become a liquid crystal, more like a gel than a fluid. And mysteriously, this gel pushes out everything else. It excludes dirt, salt, and toxins, pushing them away to leave a layer of absolutely pure, structured water. Your body is filled with this water. You're not just a bag of fluid, you're a vessel of liquid crystals. Imagine this process happening in your muscles and your brain right now. As you rest, the water in your cells is organizing. It is lining up. It is gently pushing out the metabolic waste, the fatigue, the debris of the day, creating a clean, clear zone of purity. You are a self-cleaning mechanism. The very liquid of your life is structuring itself into a shield of health. Feel that gel-like stability forming in your limbs, stiffening slightly into a heavy, comfortable stillness, pushing away the chaos to leave only order. Structured by that internal order, we travel back in time 50 million years to the Arctic Ocean. Today, it is a frozen expanse of white. But back then, during the Eocene, it was a warm, freshwater swamp. And then, a tiny floating fern called a zolla began to grow. This is the mystery of the Azolla event. This little green plant grew so fast, covering the entire surface of the Arctic Ocean, that it sucked massive amounts of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It bloomed, died, and sank to the bottom, locking the carbon away. In a geological blink, this tiny plant cooled the Earth, ending the greenhouse age and bringing about the ice ages. A single, humble plant changed the temperature of the world. Visualize this green carpet spreading over the dark water. It is soft, lush, and velvety. It is a blanket of cooling. Imagine your mind is the hot, humid atmosphere of the Eocene. And now, the Azolla begins to bloom. A soft green stillness spreads over your thoughts. It absorbs the heat. It absorbs the frantic energy. It pulls the carbon of your stress out of the air and sinks it deep, deep down into the sediment of the ocean floor, locking it away. The air cools, the fever breaks. You're covered in a layer of verdant peace, cooling down into the perfect temperature for a long winter's nap. From the cooling Earth, we look to the very fabric of the cosmos and find something missing. We contemplate the lithium problem. The Big Bang Theory is incredibly good at predicting how much hydrogen and helium should be in the universe, and our measurements match the math perfectly. But for lithium, the third element, the math fails. The theory says there should be 3 times as much lithium in the stars as we actually see. 2/3 of the lithium is missing. Where did it go? Did the stars burn it? Is it hiding in the core of galaxies? Or is our understanding of the Big Bang slightly wrong? There is a comfort in this missing piece. It implies that the universe is not fully accounted for. It keeps secrets. It holds things back. Imagine the universe as a vast cluttered room, and the lithium has been tucked away in a secret drawer that no one has found. You too are allowed to have secret reserves. You do not need to show everything you are to the world. You can keep your lithium, your energy, your true self, tucked away in the deep, silent core of your being. You're a mystery to be solved. Let the missing parts of you rest in the shadows, safe from observation, existing just for you. Deep in those shadows, we find a pattern that breaks the rules of geometry: quasi-crystals. For centuries, crystallographers believed that crystals could only form in repeating patterns: squares, hexagons, triangles. They believed a five-fold symmetry, like a pentagon or a star, was impossible because you can't tile a floor with pentagons without leaving gaps. But in the 1980s, we found a rock that broke the law. We found a crystal with five-fold symmetry. It had a pattern that was ordered but never repeated. It is called a periodic tiling. It is a sequence that goes on forever, always following a rule, but never doing the exact same thing twice. It is a melody that never repeats a chorus. Visualize this pattern behind your closed eyes. It is an intricate arabesque mosaic of stars and flowers, interlocking perfectly, stretching out to infinity. It represents the beauty of the unique moment. Your sleep tonight is like a quasi-crystal. It is ordered, it is structured, but it is unique. It will never be repeated in exactly the same way. It is a singular masterpiece of time. Trace the lines of this forbidden geometry. Follow the non-repeating path. It leads you away from the loop of routine, away from the repetitive thoughts of the day, into a new, unexplored country of design. In this land of unique design, we find a creature that refuses to follow the standard path of growing up. We drift into the cool, dark lakes of Mexico to swim with the axolotl. This salamander possesses a biological mystery called neoteny. Most amphibians start as tadpoles with gills, living in water, and then metamorphose into air-breathing adults that walk on land. The axolotl ignores this step. It reaches adulthood while retaining its larval form. It keeps its feathery pink gills, it keeps its tail, it stays in the water forever, in a state of eternal youth. Because it never grows up, it retains the superpower of the embryo. It can regenerate any part of its body. Cut off a leg, a tail, or even a part of its heart, and it grows back perfect and new. Imagine the relief of this refusal. You do not have to harden. You do not have to leave the water. Tonight you can return to that state of softness. You are the axolotl floating in the dark lake. You are suspending the demand to be a grown-up, to be rigid, to be finished. You are unfinished. You are potential. And in this soft, fluid state, you can heal anything. Let the water hold you. Let your frilly gills wave gently in the current. You are regrowing your spirit in the safety of the submerged world. As we float in that regenerative water, we feel a force holding us down, but that force itself is trembling. We consider the measurement of big G, the gravitational constant. It is the number that defines how strong gravity is. It should be the most solid, unchanging number in physics. But every time scientists try to measure it with extreme precision, they get a slightly different answer. Some experiments say it is stronger, some say it is weaker. There is a rhythmic wobble in the data, a cycle of about 5.9 years. Some physicists wonder, does the strength of gravity itself pulse? Is the Earth's grip on us tightening and loosening like a breathing chest? Imagine gravity not as a chain, but as a hand. And right now, that hand is relaxing. The value of G is dipping. The hold of the Earth is becoming gentler. You're slightly lighter than you were a moment ago. The heaviness of the world is fluctuating, and in this moment of sleep it is at its weakest. You can float. The strict laws of physics are loosening their tie to let you breathe. Feel the bed rise up to meet you as the downward pull softens. You're caught in the gentle, oscillating breath of the laws of nature. And finally, carried by that gentle breath, we arrive at the mystery of the language we use to describe it all. We touch the concept of universal grammar. Linguists have long been baffled by how quickly children learn to speak. They learn too fast for it to be just imitation. If a child hears a broken sentence, they fix it. They instinctively know the rules of syntax before they know the words. The theory suggests that we're born with a blueprint for language already etched into our brains. The structure of subject, verb, object, the concept of past and future, it is biological. We are born with a library of empty shelves. waiting for the books of our specific language to fill them. This means that connection is your birthright. You were built to communicate, to understand, and to share. But tonight you can close the library. The grammar is there, it doesn't need to be practiced. These sentences can dissolve back into the silence from which they came. You do not need words to be understood by the night. The universe speaks the language of silence, which is the only truly universal grammar. It is a language of deep, resonant, wordless peace. Listen to it now. It is telling you a story without a single syllable. It is telling you that you are safe, you are home, and you are ready to sleep. And finally, we arrive at the ultimate horizon, the shimmering edge of reality itself, to contemplate the most mind-bending possibility of all, the holographic principle. As we look at the black holes scattered through the cosmos, physics tells us something strange. When an object falls into a black hole, the information about that object, the data that describes what it is, seems to be plastered onto the surface of the event horizon, like a sticker on a sphere. It becomes two-dimensional. This observation has led the greatest minds to a profound suspicion that the entire universe, everything we see, touch, and feel, might be a hologram. Just as a 2D piece of plastic can create a 3D image of a rose when the light hits it, perhaps the entire three-dimensional cosmos is a projection generated from a distant two-dimensional surface at the edge of the universe. Imagine the freedom of this thought. It suggests that the heaviness of the world is an illusion. The solid walls, the heavy ground, the weight of your body, they're all just light. They're information painted on the canvas of space-time. You're not a heavy physical object trapped in a dense world. You're a projection of light. You're a story being told by the universe. Visualize yourself as this hologram. You're made of shimmering, weightless data. If you turn off the projector, the image does not die. It simply returns to the source code. It returns to the quiet, flat surface of potential. This is the final secret. Reality is lighter than air. It is as insubstantial as a dream. You do not need to carry the weight of the world because the world has no weight. It is a play of shadow and light, a cosmic cinema, and you are both the actor and the screen. Allow your physical form to dissolve into this realization. You're becoming transparent. You're becoming pure information. You're vibrating at the frequency of the source. The density of life is fading away, leaving only the pure, clear light of existence, projecting the beautiful, peaceful image of a sleeping soul into the velvet night. And now, the journey is complete. We have walked the long, winding gallery of the unknown. We have touched the cold stones of the desert and floated in the warm brine of the deep. We have looked into the eyes of the stars and listened to the whisper of the cells. We have gathered 101 mysteries, like smooth white pebbles collected from the shore of the cosmic ocean. Feel the weight of this collection now, but it is not a burden, it is a blanket. Each mystery is a thread in a tapestry of wonder that we have woven around you. We have proven that the universe is not a cold, solved machine. It is a place of magic. It is a place of glowing forests, singing sands, invisible planets, and protective fields. It is a place that is designed to hold you, to heal you, and to fascinate you. You do not need to understand it all. In fact, the comfort comes from not understanding. The mystery means that anything is possible. The mystery means there is always more room to dream. The library is closing now. The lights in the Great Hall of Science are dimming one by one. The golden toad is sleeping in the mist. The stars are turning off their radios. The dark flow is carrying the galaxies gently into the night. The silence is reclaiming the space. Your mind is no longer seeking answers. It is floating in the beautiful, soft static of the questions. Let the river of words slow down. Let the concepts blur into a single, warm feeling of safety. The boat has reached the open sea. The current has stopped. The wind has died down. There is nothing left to learn tonight. There is nothing left to see. There is only the dark and the peace and the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. We place this collection of wonders on the shelf of your dreams. They will be there when you wake, making the world a little more magical. But for now, let them go. Let everything go. You are safe. You are held. You are home. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.